How far did you get? Well, I know I'm not
Howdy! We're going to get started here in just a couple of minutes. If I can get everyone to come take their seats, I'd appreciate it. Competitors, finalists, specifically, just a quick note. You're going to be able to, we're going to mic you up, similar to my lapel mic. So before your time, if you're on deck, please head over to the audio video center and they will mic you up. We're going to start here in just a moment. Howdy. Well, welcome to TNVC 2026. Now, I know a lot of you have been here for parts of what's gone on the last few days, but we are officially in our first public segment of the program. So also saying hello to those that are streaming online. For those of you who don't know and want to share with others to watch your pitch or participate, you can go to our LinkedIn page, Texas A&M Innovation, and share the link that's on there so folks can participate online. So I'm going to run through a few things before we start into our finals. Remember, we do have some folks joining us that haven't heard some of the things from earlier today, so bear with me for 10 minutes or so while I do some quick introductions and explain how things are going to work today, and then I'll be introducing our finals judges as well. This is our 12th year of TNVC, which those of you that are Aggies, you know 12 has a little bit of significance on its own at Texas A&M. So we're really proud of what this competition has evolved from the original year where we were founded out of the governor's office with emerging technology fund money when we got this thing started, to now when we have a prize pool of over $1.1 million. $500,000 of which this year is guaranteed. So an extremely large prize pool. This is one of the largest competitions of its type in the country, specifically targeting science and engineering based competitors. And it is open to competitors from all across the state of Texas. This isn't just a Texas A&M thing. It never has been. We love to see our own companies go through, but this is a competition for the entire state. So our goal in doing this is really to put Texas' best deep tech companies in front of investors and others that might provide resources and partners, potential leadership, in helping them be successful with their companies. It includes those commercializing out of Texas A&M, but it's certainly not limited to that. Now I'd like to go through how we got here. This is the end of a multi-month process. Really, for my team, this is a year-round thing. But as far as interacting with the public goes, it really starts at the beginning of the year, where we reach out to the top incubators, accelerators, and research institutions across the state of Texas, ask them to get their best ready to compete in the competition. They apply in February every year. We go through, this year we got 125 applicants, set a record for us. Normally we're around 100. All right, so those 125 applicants then went through a pre-screening process to make sure that they fit our rules. And our rules basically state that they have to be early stage and they have to be a real company. All right, so this is an idea competition. It's not how good a PowerPoint deck. They have to actually be investable. So we go through and make sure that they fit that criteria, have completed their applications in full, and it's no simple application. It's around 70 questions that they have to go through. And I know you competitors went through this process. Thank you for the time for even going through that paper part. They do have to submit a video pitch, an elevator pitch, and that's taken into account as well. Then we go into a screening process, and this is something unique to hosting a competition like this at a university, at a research university, because we actually bring in subject matter experts. Think a PhD, faculty member, maybe a postdoc that's a subject matter expert in that particular technology area, or an investor or business person, a licensing manager that knows IP and can help look through these applications. They each rank them, rate them individually in 9 different categories. Then we go through a process of a mathematical process and an in-person discussion where we get that down to the top 20. All right. Out of that 20, we invite 16 semifinalists and 4 alternates to compete each year. Now, the reason we have alternates, sometimes we have folks drop out. You see the number 19 there. So we did have one company drop out. So this year we have 16 plus 3 alternates. Then we go through a coaching process where we take veteran past judges that actually do a longer form of the pitch online, helping tailor those pitches to this rather unique audience, helping those competitors, providing feedback that not only is going to help them in this competition, but hopefully help them to pitch and raise money on their own in the future. So those top 16 companies, 3 alternates this year, then get invited to come pitch today. All right. We start out, it's a 3-round process. Start out in the morning with the first round divided up roughly by industry. And those are judged by a similar group of people, but it is very investor heavy, and we always put an IP judge in that same room, right? And they get to deliberate and rank those companies. The first place out of each of those 4 rooms, with 4 teams each, goes on to the finals. Then second and third place go on to round 2. We call that the wild card round. The first place team from those 2 also go on to the finals. So we're going to hear from 6 teams. The remaining 13 teams, if you're doing your math, they get invited to do an elevator pitch, which we're going to hear after the finals are done today, and you all get to vote on, all right? And we'll give you instructions on how to do that a little later. So the 6 finalists we're going to hear from now, it follows the same format, same pitch they gave this morning, except that we're doing it in front of a larger live audience with the finals judges in the room that I'm going to introduce in a moment. These companies are being judged by their investability. That is, their likelihood to provide an ROI on their venture. So it's not about their charisma up on stage or how cool their technology or how great their PowerPoint skills are. It's about whether investors feel like they're going to provide an actual return on their investment. So before I move on, I need to thank a few people. There we go. This would not be possible without all of the volunteers in the room that have done this, all our staff that have helped with the screening, the coaching, and the actual judging that's happened so far today. So can I get everybody that's volunteered in one form or fashion, just stand up real quick and let us recognize you. If you judged, if you helped coach, if you helped in any other way, please stand up. I know some of you guys are standing already in the background, but thank you very much. Top of your fields, accomplished investors yourself, really donating participate as well. To me, because this is who I actually work for, Texas A&M Innovation. This wouldn't be possible without having a home here at Texas A&M. It's lived in a few different places over the years. I'm thrilled that we now live at the system level. And you're going to hear a little bit later during the award ceremony from my boss, Sam Kim. He's the interim Chief Innovation Officer, and he's graciously taken over that Chief Innovation Officer position. Is going to tell you a little bit about his vision for commercialization at Texas A&M. He's also a deep tech VC himself, all right? So he's been where many of you are, both sides of the table, and has a really unique perspective to be a leader for Texas A&M Innovation. If you get a chance, thank him for supporting this. It wouldn't be possible without that hosting office. I also want to tell you real quickly about my role, because it does pertain to many of you guys in the room. You know, imagine, this is not my day job, all right? TNVC is the highlight of my year, don't get me wrong, but I do have a role at Texas A&M Innovation working with external partners. My title is Director of Strategic Partnerships. And what I am tasked with is building the ecosystem around commercialization, around this entrepreneurial commercialization, especially at the Texas A&M system. So that means developing relationships with investors like many of you, law firms that support these startups, incubators and accelerators that many of these have gotten referred from. So I actually am building that ecosystem for the support of commercialization across Texas A&M, the Texas A&M system. So I also am building a team, and this is something new that I haven't shared before because it's a new initiative that Dr. Kim and I have put together in building a reputation as a gateway to the Texas A&M system and all that we have to offer. And by gateway, I'm talking about companies on the outside that might need to come here and do testing and evaluation work, sponsor research around maturing their technology at many of these academic facilities that actually end up sitting idle a lot of the time. So I'm talking to you investors, VCs especially. If you have mature portfolio companies that need to prove their product, think maybe an autonomous vehicle or sensor platform that wants to take advantage of our 3,400-acre Rellis campus where you can actually fly drones at the same time as you're driving autonomous vehicles on the ground. I'd love to talk to you because we are in many cases the cheapest or the only opportunity to do that type of engagement, and you actually have experts, academics, researchers, retired military officers can help put those technologies through their paces. so that those companies can go on, increase their valuation through proving out that their technologies work to investors that may not be subject matter experts in that field. So I've mentioned a few times that I represent the Texas A&M system. I realize not everybody knows what that means or the breadth of that. It's 12 universities now with the addition of Victoria in the past year, plus relationship with national labs, the Texas Department of Emergency Management, and a bunch of other organizations inside the state. It's actually 8 state agencies. We represent that whole system. We have a presence in every county in the state of Texas through AgriLife research, and we strive to bring in technologies from across this whole campus. Hence why I really feel like TNVC is its perfect location now, because we draw from the entire state of Texas. Now I want to say a quick thank you to our sponsors. Without these sponsors, this would not be possible, all right? As this program has grown, I think first year we gave around $150,000 out, and grown now to, like I said before, over 1.1 million in prizes. It wouldn't be possible without these folks. Our platinum sponsors this year are Antler and Plug and Play. And as I call you out, please stand up. Let the audience recognize you if you're representatives here. Thank you, Antler and Plug and Play. You'll hear from them a little more during the award ceremony because they're giving away some really cool prizes as well. We also have our gold sponsors. I'm not going to read all of them out today just to keep things short, but I am going to ask you guys to stand up. Many of you are giving prizes away, so if you represent one of the gold sponsor teams, let us recognize you as well. Please stand up. And finally, our silver sponsors and ESOs. This is a group of folks that ESOs especially, these are often incubators and accelerators that are giving admission prizes to their program, or cash sponsors like City of Bryan, City of College Station, Greater Brazos Partnership that hosted last night's reception. Y'all please stand up as well. Let us recognize you and thank you for your contributions. So you see this hashtag a few times today. Crystal and our marketing team put it on me to make sure I share this out. If you take pictures today and you're going to upload them to social media, please use this hashtag. If you have some thoughts to share, maybe you want to reach out to a company or congratulate a company, use this hashtag. That helps with the virality of this. It's not about us at Texas A&M. This is about the companies and all the partners in this. And it helps to build that reputation, that wider reach, that helps those companies be more successful. So please use this hashtag TNVC 2026 hashtag when you can. Also want to mention the Wi-Fi, if you need to get access to it. It's 12th man. If it can handle 100,000 plus football fans, it can handle this group. We do have an event app. If you haven't downloaded it already, we do encourage it. It's a great way to connect here at and after the competition. We actually, it's baked into our Texas A&M Innovation app, so search for that on the App Store. And you can use that app to get access to all of our events across the year. I would highly encourage you download it. All of our competitors and many of our judges and sponsors have filled out profiles on there and give contact info so you can follow up after the program. So I'm going to quickly run through some of the impact. I'm going to move fast just because I want to make sure we get on to the finals as quickly as possible. But these are some important numbers and really demonstrate why this program exists and why we host it here at Texas A&M. We've given out 5 million prizes over the 12 years of the program, and actually we're going to be over 6 million today. So you can see it's kind of escalating. The companies have gone on to raise over 1.47 billion. I typo there. That's actually supposed to be a B. 1.47 billion since the competition started. So that's not what they came in with. If we count what they came in with, we're up around 1.5 billion. All right. But you do the math there. The companies aren't starting with much. They're starting with something, but they're really getting a huge amount of funding and a big boost in going through this program. A couple other important numbers. 89% of our semifinalists, that's all of you in the room today, competitors, alternates included. 89% of those are still in business. 94% of the finalists, the ones you're about to see here on stage, they're still in business or have successfully exited. The reason why that's important is because the general industry standard at 3 years is 20% success rate. All right? So that means all of you, whether you're going to be on this stage here in a minute or not, you are already in the elite tech startups in the state of Texas by far. And the math proves that out. We have a lot of investors in the room. Kind of wonder why maybe. It certainly didn't start out that way, but we realized really quickly that this is a very neat tool to identify some of the most investable companies in the state. We know that all of our semifinalists grow by roughly 7x. And we know this because we track these companies as a portfolio. So we know that over the 12 years, the average growth is 7x. Now remember that the percentage numbers that I just gave a minute ago, the 94% of the semifinalists, and put that in perspective of how successful these companies are. We also know that at 3 years, 3 years, growth is at 11x. All right? So after they've started to put the strategies you hear about today into play, at 3 years, they're growing at an 11x rate. We've had 8 successful exits to date, some of these very large. In fact, I need to share with you that we had a couple exits this last year that caused a huge jump in some of the numbers that I've shared here. I'm not going to share particular company names. You can go on and search if you'd like and find those because we've committed to not share some of that. They share this data with us in private in many cases. Research perspective, this is why it's important to Texas A&M. We know that over $151 million in grant funds, we may need to switch clickers, by the way. 151 million in grant funds have been raised since participation. Over 11.5 million in sponsored research. That's money that has come back to Texas A&M and other state institutions. And more in royalties and license fees have also come back. Actually, 5 million to Texas A&M University alone. And we are way under reporting that number because it's extremely hard to track across all of the institutions. I'm just giving you a tip of the iceberg number. Now, from the entrepreneur perspective, I wanted to explain quickly about why this matters to you as entrepreneurs. And a couple of takeaways that I hope you have learned through some of the coaching and the feedback that you're going to be getting from your pitches today. Most of the semifinalists here have very diverse teams behind them. You won't see just a technical founder or just a business person behind this. Usually it's a group of folks that have come together. And I say that by actually looking at the numbers over the years. About half of our applicant pool, that 125 number I mentioned earlier, about half of those are single or very small teams. But you'll actually see that 80+% of the teams that make it to this point actually have larger, diverse teams made up of scientists, technology folks, subject matter experts, plus business people, salespeople. Please take that away in building your own teams. We also know that many of the teams that have come out are supported by an ESO. That's an entrepreneurial support organization, a mentor-driven program that has actually helped catalyze these programs, many times referred you guys to us at Texas A&M New Venture Competition, and have helped support those. In fact, I want to recognize some of the entrepreneurial support organizations that are here today. The ones on the bottom of the screen are the ones that did prizes that you'll hear from later on today. But you entrepreneurial support organizations, you and your teams, whether you're referred in programs or you're doing a prize or not, please stand up and let us recognize you as supporting the Texas entrepreneurial ecosystem. ESOs, please stand. Yep. So a little bit about our semifinalists this year. I'm not going to go into the numbers, but we throw this up here to show you how diverse and how widespread our representation is across the state of Texas. And then also how diverse we are in terms of company. This is not about some particular type of company. I will share that, and this is probably no big surprise, our fastest growth area this year is in IT. That includes a lot of AI. All right, so it shows you kind of where the trends are going. Finally, this wouldn't have been possible without our internal TNVC team. I'm going to ask all of you to stand up from the TNVC that's in the room. I know we've got some folks that are running around, but y'all stand up real quick and let us recognize you, including you folks there in the back trying to hide. Let us recognize you as supporting this program. Thank you so much, team. All right, we're getting close to the part I know many of you are waiting for, especially you competitors. Now we're going to get ready to move on to the finals themselves. I'm going to do a quick introduction and ask each of you to stand up, turn around. Much more info is in your program or in the app that you can take a look at. But as I call you out, please stand up, turn around, give a quick wave. First up, Spencer Clements, entrepreneur, developer, immediate past chairman of the board of the Greater Brazos Partnership. That's our regional economic development corporation that co-hosted that awesome reception last night. And is awarding a prize today. Then Thad Fileski, attorney with Conley Rose. He got his undergrad here at A&M and his JD at another school down the road. Seriously though, Conley Rose, you guys have been an important partner for several years to TNVC and to Texas A&M Innovation. Thank you. Blair Jeffrey, representing Aggie Angel Network. AAN is a long-standing partner of TNVC, bringing many of the judges since the first year, and now a significant investor prize every year that I know at least one of you guys will get really excited about after the program today. Mark Johnson with Amera. Competitors, I know you met Mark and Aaron during the coaching process. They've helped us out with that for many years, and they also run a company that's helped many teams with visualization of their complex medical technologies, and we really appreciate all the help that they've given over the years. Kevin Farhala, he's a director at Plug and Play, overseeing strategy and ecosystem development at Austin, and he partners with global enterprises to drive innovation and investment, and we're a partner at Texas A&M Innovation with Plug and Play as well, so we really appreciate that relationship. Carlos Rodriguez, Carlos is with Humanate. If you were here last year, you remember Carlos. His company won first place last year. Tradition, curious about our traditions of always inviting back. Sharma, who's a general partner with Antler. They're a platinum sponsor this year, and she heads up the firm's Austin office. She joined Antler in 2018 in Singapore, and now is expanding the U.S. presence and globally. Blake Teipel, really cool invite this year. Blake is with Adobe now, but he also participates. Some of you that have been around a long time might recognize him. 2016 finalist under the name Essentium or Trifusion. We're thrilled to have him back this year, and he had a successful exit under his belt and spoke on the panel yesterday as well. These are all very successful entrepreneurs, investors, and supporters of the entire Texas ecosystem. And you guys bring tremendous value to this process, and thank you so much for doing this. I'd encourage you to take a deeper dive or connect with these folks through the app or and take a look in the program. Now I'm going to move on to the moment you guys have been waiting for. All right. So we're going to prioritize the questions that come from the judges. All right, but the audience, you do have the chance to weigh in here via Slido. We're going to pop up a screen here in a second that's going to show the questions as they roll in. You finals judges will be able to see those questions as they come in. You can use them or not, all right? Often adapt them to incorporate them in your own questions. We'll try to remove them as those items get addressed, but we are giving priority to the finals judges as experts in your own field and in recognition of the time and effort you've put behind this. So with that, unless there are any last minute questions from our finals judges, I think we are about to get started. You'll have a new clicker. There you go. And can we bring up Slido on the Slido presentation on the screen? Ah, cool. Thank you. Yep.
This one should work better.
Cool. All right. Go and click the next slide. Oh, I think our order is wrong. Clavius is up now, right? Yeah. No. Oh, we are good. Okay, no, we're good. All right, thank you. Bioprinting laboratories. All right, thank you, sir.
Wow, so many people. Good afternoon. This is my great pleasure to be selected as the finalist in this competition. I am Muyo Lee. I'm the founder and CEO of Bioprinting Laboratory, Inc. We replace animal models using human tissues generated in the laboratory using our pillar perfusion plate technologies. These lab-grown human tissue are called organoid. We bring innovation to organoid culture and disease modeling for next generation drug development. So let me start with this question. How many of you know how many animals are sacrificed every year for drug testing? We kill animals, 50 to 100 million animals every year just for drug testing. What's the consequence? 90% of drug candidates that passed animal testing fail in human clinical trial, costing industry over $100 billion annually. And this is because current animal model cannot accurately represent human biology. So industry looking for better human-related models. So here we try to solve that problem. So with new FDA Modernization Act 2.0, now animal testing is not mandatory anymore. So new approach methodology, or called NAM, such as human organoid, lab-grown human tissues, organ-on-a-chip, 3D bioprinted tissue construct, or AI-driven prediction models are emerging. However, these current NAM systems struggle with scalability, reproducibility, throughput, and the compatibility with existing pharma workflows. So here's the bottleneck we try to solve. It's simple but powerful. We provide plug-and-play human organoid plate that runs on standard lab equipment. We deliver predictive human data, and our vision is to become the industry standard for human organoid-based drug testing and replacing inefficient animal models. These are our core products, pillar plate and perfusion plate, in 36, 144, and 384 formats. These products are already compatible with existing high-throughput screening infrastructures in the pharma industry, so they don't need to purchase new equipment to run our device. We deliver 4 key innovations. First, precision 3D bioprinting, enabling uniform and reproducible organoid generations. Second, dynamic organoid culture that improve physiological relevance. Third, on-plate cryopreservation of human organoid, ensuring batch consistency and on-demand use. And lastly, high-throughput screening compatibility, enabling seamless pharma integrations. We have 3 streams of revenues. First, consumable, our pillar perfusion plate product, which is already commercialized with about 80% gross margin and recurring purchases. Second, cryopreserved organoid on plate, our premium products with about 70% gross margin. Third, screening services ranging from $50,000 to $200,000 per project. We also leverage non-dilutive funding such as NIH, SBIR, and STTR grant. We are positioned at the intersections of growing large markets, $12.7 billion organoid markets and $1.2 billion organ-on-chip markets. Our beachhead for pillar perfusion plate products include 36,000 to 60,000 labs globally, with just 5% of we project $18 to $30 million annual revenues. Our organoid plate products can expand this into 60 to 160 million opportunities. We have a go-to-market strategy for organoid plate products. First, validate our products with the key opinion leaders using failed clinical compounds. Second, run pilots with the pharma and demonstrate the value of our products. Third, convert this pilot into annual contract and multi-site adoptions. Key advantages include no capital expenditures, no retraining for the scientists working in the pharma, and seamless integrations with the existing infrastructures. So we have a strong traction of successful technology development. We completed multiple NIH SBIR and STTR projects totaling $1.5 million non-dilutive funding. We also have a $1 million angel investment that allow us to scale up the productions and launch our pillar perfusion plate in 2025. We demonstrated successful the organoid culture on our device. We validated our products across liver, brain, intestine, cardiac, and cancer organoid with the 14 publications in high-impact journals. These demonstrate both our scientific credibility and a wide ranges of applications. We have a strong global tractions too. Our early customers include Cincinnati Children's Hospital Medical Center, Johns Hopkins University, Seoul National University, University of Zurich, and University of North Texas. We also have a distributions and strategic partnership in Asia. This set ourselves ready for the global expansions. We also have a clear milestone for future development. In 2026, we will develop on-plate cryopreservation technologies. In 2027, we will launch organoid on-plate products. In 2028, we will start contract research service. We're currently running multiple validation studies with the non-paid customers, and also we are seeking pharma collaboration for disease modeling and compound screening. Our competitors fall into two categories. First, organoid culture platforms, which are limited by static culture and low organoid maturities. Second, organoid chip platforms, limited by throughput, complexity, and cost. We uniquely combine multiple advantages, including high throughput, perfusion culture, low cost, and ease of use. This uniquely positions us the only solutions for scalable NAM research. We also have a strong intellectual property. We have an exclusive worldwide license for two key patents, coverage across US, Canada, Europe, China, and India. We also have a provisional patent applications for cryopreservations of our organoid and also engineered human organoid for disease modeling. Our team combined expertise in 3D bioprinting, organoid culture, and commercializations. And honestly, we are actively recruiting experienced CEO to scale commercialization. Because I'm a technical person, I believe that with the new CEO in business, we can really amplify our potential. And this is our summary slide. Our goal is clear. We want to make human biology the gold standard for drug discovery, not animal testing. Thank you. I'm happy to take any question.
Hi.
Hi, yeah.
Have you identified the CEO profile? Who are you looking for? Have you identified your CEO profile? Who are you looking for?
We are looking for business person who has a wide network in pharma. So those person understand both business and the drug discovery processes.
Got it. And can you help me understand the money you've raised? Where was it spent so far?
We are looking for $1 to $2 million investment so that we can speed up this organ-on-plate product development.
Sorry, my question was the money that has been raised so far from
So
grants.
far?
Yeah,
Yes,
where
so-
was it spent and how much is left? Like, curious to know how you manage your capital.
So we heavily rely on NIH funding, and then with the $1 million angel investment, we scaled up the productions of these pillar perfusion plate because these are made of injection molding, and we have to spend a lot of money on making a mold. And then we are currently working on, heavily working on marketing of our pillar perfusion plate products.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Got a question.
Yes.
I used to be the former CEO of Baylor College of Medicine, so I understand the problem. You know, give you an idea, we had 300,000 animals at the medical center doing research. My question is, I saw a lot of academic customers, but I didn't see any pharma for pharmaceuticals. So can this, why is that, and can this be used in terms of the clinical trial IRB for phase 1?
That is our ultimate goal. So currently, we are approaching to low-hanging fruits. Those people working in academia, they are always interested in new inventions, new device for their publications. But in the case of pharma, they want to have a more established technologies. So we need to put more effort, more validation on the pilot studies with the pharma companies. So that is one of the reasons why we still don't have a real pharma customers. But that is really the important milestone that we need to achieve to expand our revenues.
Because I would say that, you know, they probably control over 80% of this market, you know.
Yeah, I totally agree.
And do you have any preliminary discussions with Pfizer or with GlaxoSmithKline?
We already have 14 publications related to multiple different organ regenerations, testing compounds, demonstrating the maturity of tissues that we generated on the device. So yes, we have some preliminary data to share with the pharma. And in fact, we are working with the one scientist at Merck. So hopefully we can have some pilot project studies soon.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Yes.
Sorry, I just had a follow-up on the customers. So I gather that you've gotten your initial sort of 6 customers in academia, but your page says that there's no federal regulatory requirements needed for your products. Is that correct?
Yes. So if you want, let's say for the pillar perfusion plate, as long as we make this sterile so that they don't have any contamination issues, then they can simply purchase the device from our website, and then they can perform whatever cell culture that they want.
So
If we want to use this device, however, for the regulatory approval, let's say, then we need to submit the data to FDA for the device regulations.
Yeah. So sorry, where I was trying to go was you've got one person using these at Merck. I guess what's really the blocker that you have right now from actually getting like more pharma users, right? I mean, help me understand the blockers, I guess, with your like true ideal customer.
Yeah, so I believe that right now the biggest hurdle is the pharma adoptions. We need more connections in pharma so that we can start the pilot projects. I think that is one of the biggest hurdles. And then as we mentioned that our product, the pillar perfusion plate products are launched last year. We actively started our marketing from last month. So we are in very early stages of commercialization. We are still simultaneously performing this validation project with the non-paid customers. At the same time, we are selling this pillar perfusion plate to wide ranges of customers in academia or pharma. I understand the importance of these pilot studies and access to the pharma networks. Yes.
Can you explain your patent position? Who owns the patents?
So I'm the inventor of the patents, all of the patents that I just mentioned, 4 of them. But I'm a faculty member at the University of North Texas. Whatever invention I have, it's all owned by the university. So my company got the license from the university. So we have exclusive license. That means we can give a sub-license to any company that express interest to our technology.
And then I have a follow-up. How many years are left on those granted patents?
It's issued in 2022. So it's just very early, yeah.
What does the patent protect? Is it the design of the plates?
So we have multiple protections. So the design of the device is protected, and the method of generating this organoid on the device, that is also patented. And then the assay itself, when you use these tissues on the device, whatever assay you do for testing drug efficacies or toxicity, that's also protected. And then the way of the cryopreserving these tissues on the device, that's also protected. So we have really the freedom of operations. It covers wide ranges of the operations. Yeah.
Dr. Lee, you speak of inventory or the scale up on the $1 million that you received 3 years ago.
Yes.
Can you give me an understanding of how much inventory is really there? When did you start selling? And what are the blockers? You're obviously raising another round, but I'm curious how much progress you've made.
In terms of scale-up productions of that pillar precision plate, we have right now about $500,000 stock in the company right now. So if you sell all those stocks to customers, we can make about $500,000. Because these are made of injection molding, we can easily scale up the productions of these devices. Sure. So that's the one reason why I decided to use the injection molding, not the 3D printing methodology.
So on that $500,000, how many have you actually sold?
We have, so last year, from last year today, until today, we sold about $20,000, about 100 units sold worldwide.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so that's great. What is the forcing function that's going to cause this to go from 20,000 to $500,000?
So the one of the key criteria is the outreach to the customers. We are right now automating all this marketing effort. Recently, one of our scientists established this AI bot marketing tools. So now what we can do is, by doing some keyword searching, we can extract thousands of emails, those who publish paper in the field. So we can automate all the emails marketing. So that is done last month. So we are starting that marketing effort this month. And at the same time, we do actively approach to people in the field using LinkedIn Sales Navigators. So we do use multiple approach. We do directly visit the institutions who use the organoid right now, the neighboring institutions. So it's not just a single email marketing. We are using multiple approaches.
Okay, thank you.
Question here.
Yes.
What is the feedback you're getting on these pilots? Do you have any repeat customers so far?
Yes, those people we listed, they are recurring customers.
Are they increasing the amount of units they're ordering, or is it a stable amount?
It's because these products, so let's say if you have pharma companies or CROs, they have thousands of compounds to screen for multiple different organs or tissues. In that case, the volume is big.
It's time.
Yeah, sorry.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Next up, Clavius Health.
Thank you, sir. Which one's forward? Thanks, Jim. Howdy. There we go. I'm getting used to that the last couple of days. So it's 2026. You guys can quantify heart rate, sleep, blood pressure, sugar, but we're not able to quantify your posture. My name is Rishi Shah. I'm with Clavius Health, Houston-bred company, here to actually solve that problem. Like every superhero, band, or enterprise, we have an origin story. Ours starts a couple years ago with my co-founder, who's also watching. His daughter is an avid gymnast, and her musculature and her strength masked idiopathic scoliosis. It wasn't caught until a friend, who is an orthopedist, found her, saw her at a beach at a picnic, said, "Have you checked her?" They laughed. They said no. It turns out it took an X-ray and several scans to quantify what she had. Now, it also turns out that my co-founder has idiopathic scoliosis, and he's just dealt with back pain his whole life. And we zoomed out a little bit. We realized that a lot of people, 100 million adults in the US, are living with chronic back pain. It's one of the top 3 reasons you visit a physical therapist today. And the burden of overall musculoskeletal care is hitting $1 trillion in the US market, of which just 100 billion is lower back pain. And we're like, why is that so prevalent? Why is that something that we've learned to live with for so long? And we've started digging through reports and physical therapy conversations and clinical outcomes. This is the documentation we see. Patient presents with apparent anterior pelvic tilt and possible right lateral shift. The 2 words that irritated us as engineers, technologists, and founders, and those words that caused a couple of 50-year-old men to leave their jobs and pursue this as a passion, is apparent and possible. Why is this something that's still subjective? That's where we showed up. Between our team and our research and development, we've developed an AI-powered camera platform that captures 9 metrics across 3 planes of motion in less than a minute of screening. What does that do? That allows us to get clinical level, objective, repeatable data on your posture without requiring radiation, imaging, specialty training, or visiting a lab. The fundamentals of how it works are fun. We'd love to get into it deeper, but the overall view is that it is an RGBD camera that we've worked with to develop a proprietary LLM that sits local to that device that pulls out 32 skeletal points off of a topographical scan of your back. Meaning, our starting point is hard 3-dimensional data, where a lot of folks that look at a lot of a competition, which we'll get to, use a 2-dimensional image to elicit 3-dimensional data. Our starting point is that point cloud. We are then using an orthopedic LLM to pull out the 32 skeletal points, and therefore using a deterministic engine to pull out angles of measurement between your shoulder, your hip, your spinal curvature, and your head tilt. And what that does is gives objective, repeatable measurements of your back. When we tested it against the gold standard, which is the X-ray, we're seeing a 76% correlation, meaning if the X-ray sees a curve, we see a curve. If the X-ray sees a straight line, we see a straight line. And that is only going to improve with more data and more testing. We're 2 data studies in. We're working on our 3rd. We've got a 4th one in the works for later this year. We also did a comparative study against what's the gold standard today in clinic, which is a scoliometer, a trained eye, a camera, and a ruler. And we're hitting twice as accurate of what's actually happening in your body versus what an intake process will tell you. And the last one is really important for us to chase, which is 100% success rate, meaning whoever's at the keyboard, regardless of clinical training, regardless of operator skill set, and regardless of how well they know how to operate the equipment, our platform will make sure that you get the same repeatable results every time. We're chasing the clinical level accuracy in clinic. This eye chart, nobody has to memorize, but what I'd love for you to walk away with is that there's 2 areas of competition for us. One is the heavy machinery, the X-rays, the DRS4 metrics. Those are 6-figure machines in massive investments in the hospital in training and equipment. And then there's the apps and the camera-based tools and the phone-based tools. We said that there's a massive gap between the accuracy those heavy machines provide and the approachability and the accessibility that some of these consumer-facing, consumer-level platforms provide. And that's where we live. We said bring the accuracy down, bring the accuracy closer to the clinic, bring the cost of acquisition down, bring the hurdle of using it down. I mean, how many folks have been to, actually, I have, you guys all look healthy. My back pain tells me the doctor goes to go get an x-ray, I have to go have a separate appointment, come back to the primary care to do a follow-up. That attrition rate is high. That's a trip that I don't always have the time to take, or I don't always have the time to take with my kids. This is now the ability to give that objective answer in clinic to support or use an x-ray as a validation, not as a curiosity check. So given the science, given the platform, given the capabilities we've realized, we're like, okay, what does this look like in the market? Right? There's no point in getting into this unless there's a nice conversation we can have with our customers and their customers. So during some initial studies, we realized that today, with our tool, we are able to generate revenue for the clinic because ours is a billable exercise. And the codes exist. We're not chasing new codes. We're not chasing any novel treatments. The CPT codes around functional testing exist. So we built our business model around a specific code, and we forecasted that for the average PT in our customer profile, we're showing them about $70 incremental revenue per patient on an existing patient load, which results in about $70,000 in additional revenue for that location. Now, just like Mike Tyson said, everybody has a plan until they get punched in the mouth. So we showed up at a clinic, our first pilot, and he says, you are wrong. We are seeing 400. Because not only can we use a higher complexity code, but we can also build more units because of the data your platform is giving us. So naturally, our pricing guys went back and they realized we have a little bit of space in our pricing model. So that's being revisited. But our first clinician said after a 1-hour demo that he's absolutely willing to work with us. We're going to go into his clinic this summer. He's our first pilot, actually. We're going to his clinic in this week's the active deployment, next week's the active deployment. But by the end of the summer, he sees us in all 4 of his clinics. And we're having analogous conversations with other physicians and PT offices in Texas. So where does that lead us? Our target ICP for our first market is PT offices. They represent the right spectrum of functional testing, the ease of approachability, privately owned. We also can get a very good idea of the commercial and CMS payer mix that usually results in their claims and their revenue. Out of 40,000 clinics, the timer's right in the worst spot. Out of 40,000 clinics in the US, if we hit our 5% target by mid next year, we're hitting about 28 million in ARR. And that's our current pricing model that we're using for forecast. Now, of course, after the conversation with the last PT, we may adjust our SaaS model a bit. But right now it's founder-led sales in Houston, friends of friends, network reaching out. But our forecasting based on the sales team we're looking to work with is about $2,000 per customer cost of acquisition, which gives us roughly a 2-month payback per customer and an overall lifetime value of 54x, given a 5-year agreement with the organization. Our second market is occupational health, sports medicine, and and concierge medicine. Those 3 markets we'll go to next year once we get a good momentum on the physical therapist. Our large-scale market of hospitals and IDNs is probably going to follow towards the end of next year or earlier the year following, because we have to make sure that our FDA conversation, our 510K pathway, is absolutely clear. Our early studies and the agency we're working with have given us the green light that we can go to market today without 510K with the CPT billing pathway. The minute we start going into things like the diagnostic conversation, or we're treating or diagnosing a disease, we need to start looking at Class 2 classification and different FDA pathways. But what that means today is we can go to market, we can generate revenue, our customers can generate revenue, and we are a profit center for them. Our team, we've got a bunch of senior folks now. All of us have been through the rounds, right? We've all done the startups, we've all done the jobs. We are at the point now where if we don't believe in something and we don't believe it's going to impact the overall quality of care out in the wild, and the science and the business model isn't proven, there's no point in chasing it. So you've got me that works on the commercialization side. My co-founder of the origin story, Sasha Popovich, he has expertise in taking a product, going to market, and running a team that can take an idea to scale commercially. Igor is our mad scientist. I apologize if he's watching, but he's the brains behind the engine. His folks and his team around computer vision, biomechanics, biophysics, are the ones that help design the platform using the specialty camera and our modeling tool to pull the skeletal data out. Our advisory board is built very specifically to support not only our validation of our clinical work, but also our go-to-market. So Dr. Bukva is the head of pediatric surgery at a children's hospital. Dr. Shona Patel is a doctor, I can never pronounce it right, it's DO, who runs a private practice out in LA. They're helping us make sure that the clinical words, the clinical language, and the decisions we're making are absolutely correct. Then we rounded the team out with a sales leader from the MedTech top Fortune 50, as well as CFO and a founder to make sure that we're getting the questions answered that we ourselves don't know to answer. Our ask, we're at a point now of raising 1.5 million. We're partway through the round. The targeted use of funds is about a third of it is going to commercials, go-to-market, sales strategy. A third of it's making sure that our regulatory pathway is covered, the claims we make are safe, the codes we're using are balanced, and the rest of it goes back to product and engineering, and then about 15% on ops. Somewhere, we want to change it looks like to it is or it measures. We're working on the measurement layer for MSK Care. Question is, how many people want to join us? Open for questions.
Thanks for your presentation. Really appreciate it. So you kind of started out your talk with an example of a girl at a party,
Yep.
and she had a back problem that it took, an expert to look at to get her to be seen. I think what I'm struggling to understand here is like, she wasn't getting examined by any tools. She wasn't getting examined by X-rays,
Right.
by PT, by scanners. So like, in the case of this girl who's now getting care, which is obviously good, like, how does your tool actually even fit into that world, right?
Yeah,
because
so-
like, she wasn't getting looked at by anybody. So I'm trying to understand that connection.
No, so what happens is all of the times that she had been checked for a spinal alignment issue, she's been checked subjectively. So it's up to the eye of the operator or the skill set of the operator with the keyboard to recognize something. The person who actually finally triggered an idea of actually getting an image, X-ray image done, is an orthopedic surgeon. What he sees with his eye is probably more detailed than most of us will ever ask to see. So that triggered the frustration that everything is too subjective. There's things that are getting missed, right? What I'm seeing for me is that there is a slight misalignment in my spine, leg length issue, that's creating back pain. If I knew it earlier, then I'd have a different approach to realizing that, hey, I'm 50-something now and I've got chronic back pain. So the frustration around the lack of an objective measure is what triggered this path. Yes.
Yeah, great presentation. These are some of the decisions that I'm having to make as a startup company, and that is, which conferences to attend. So you have doctors going to, CME credits every year. So let me ask you a question. If you get invited to a chiropractor convention, a physical therapy convention, or a hospital imaging and diagnostics, can you rank them where you would
Yep.
spend your dollars at?
Yes. A whole bunch of caveats and footnotes and fine print, but yes, where we are in our business today, our conversation is directly geared towards physical therapists because that represents our revenue and our go-to-market and our commercialization strategy. The orthopedic conversation is a group of people that know how to validate what we're doing, but they may not be our buyers. They're the folks that sit on our shoulder, guide us. That's just why the advisors are on that list. And then imaging, imaging is tricky, right? Because we're not targeting replacing the X-ray. I mean, what happens with compute power and AI and whatnot in 5 to 7 years, I don't know. But an imaging conference we'd love to attend to understand the types of tools that they're using to produce what they're producing, because ours is a surface measurement still, right? We're not doing an invasive measurement. We're not using radiology. So if I rank them, PT, ortho, imaging.
And then just a last follow-up question. In healthcare, it's go big or go home because you're trying to leverage, your size, for your reimbursements. So my question, to you, is one of, do you, I like the fact that you have the CPT code, but is that, you think it will stay. And then my question really is this. How many independent physical therapy offices versus therapist office that are put on by either the orthopedic center or the healthcare center?
So the second question I'm going to try to answer
Yes.
first, right? So independent physical therapists are our ICP right now because they represent a easier conversation, right? Because it's a very finite decisioning matrix. We know exactly the owner is usually an operator. They're also the folks that run the business side of the conversation. So having a very deep conversation with them as a buyer is perfect. Going up to like the outpatient clinics and things like that, the decisioning criteria changes. And that's going to have to change a little bit of our marketing and our go-to-market strategy and our coding. So part of our goal right now is to validate the science and the billability of it on the independent side. Concierge medicine is on the same trail right now because it's a very focused conversation. A lot of the revenue and the money we're looking to invest, get as investments, we're using to build out our validation of the CPD codes, right? So we're hiring coding experts and billing experts to help us craft the message that this is the right code for this type of practice. But the minute you go to a hospital, these codes change because of the types of treatments they do and the types of scans they do. So we know more about our current ICP, and we're using a lot of our funds to do the right homework to prepare for our next. I don't know if that directly answers the question.
Thank you.
Okay, sure. Yep.
I just want to ask you real quick about how your strategy is for protecting your technology, your IP strategy.
Yes. So a silly way to answer that question is I make sure that there's people in the room smarter than me, always. But more likely, we hired a law firm out of Boston, Goodwin. They do a lot of medtech startups and do a lot of IP protection. And they've helped us structure the IP underneath Clavius. So we own all of the IP. We own all of the intellectual property around what we're doing. We're not licensing it from anybody. What that looks like for patents will probably come closer to a decision around what our final product looks like, right? Because we are a paired hardware software as a medical device combo. We are, to some degree, agnostic of the actual hardware because we make sure that it's compliant to a certain standard. But do we go to market with a hardware bundle and software? Do we go to market with software? That'll drive it. So we're actively trying to figure that out, knowing that our current market approach is very much software as a medical device. Yeah.
I noticed on your competitor's slide, there's a company that's very close to you guys. Is it Dyers or Deers?
Deers for metric.
Deers, okay. I mean, you guys are almost the same, except for one is not U.S. market focused, or they're not U.S. market focused?
Yeah, they're Germany based.
Okay, and CPT, they're not CPT compliant?
No, so they don't generate the SOAP notes. So our focus from the beginning of this is about how do we generate the right content that goes into the EMR to support the billing codes. The other part of it also is that as a product, we are a lighter weight deployment. Deer's machines are heavy investments, and they are what's called expert systems, which means that the firmware and the software lives in there. Ours is a bit more AI based, so it learns over time.
Would you say they're your closest competitor?
No, I would say that they're the third. The ones we focus on first is X-ray because that's truly the gold standard. The second one is a company on our chart that's using the same hardware we are, the same camera, but they're hitting 32% correlation to X-ray. We're hitting 76%. So we're keeping an eye on all three of those.
And then one other question. I noticed on your slide you say 75% match with X-ray.
I should say correlation.
Correlation, okay.
Yeah.
Is 75%, is that acceptable or can you do better?
So from what we're hearing from our clinicians, that is within the conversation that hospitals can have about, because what we're doing is we're matching the difference that radiation techs see amongst each other. And as we get more data and do our data studies, we're shooting for 80% on the next data study wave and about 90%, which means when you look at a scan out of ours, we are actually telling you what's pretty close to what's happening if you do an imaging scan. The goal isn't necessarily to replace the X-ray. It's to say, okay, do an X-ray at the beginning of your care, but if you want to do a longitudinal study of progress, I'm not going to ask you to get an X-ray every week. I'll do this scan every week, track your progress, knowing that the beginning is really close to what the radiation says you did.
One question here really quick. So
Yes.
did I hear you say that you're still deciding if you're selling this as hardware or selling the unit to the PT clinic, or are you selling a service?
No, so our sales model right now is a leased hardware and a SaaS.
So do you know what your manufacturing costs are of the unit?
Yeah, we're OEM the hardware. So the cost of hardware for us is about $1,500 to $2,000. And then at that point, it is just a service call for our engine.
And so you have a calculated ROI on your,
Sorry.
you have a calculated ROI on your cost, right?
Yes.
You have a $2,000 cost going into the clinic.
Yes.
Okay. And
That's the hardware cost, but that's something we're going to get back from them as an initiation fee.
Okay, so they're going to give you a piece of that CPT code, or they're going to just lease it from you outright, or how are you going to revenue share with them, or how are you going to recover that?
So right now, the recommendation we've got from our teams is brackets. If we do a pay-to-play or a pay-per-scan, it didn't go well with some of the privately owned clinics because they're unable to forecast their costs and their revenue. So where we're leaning towards and where we're testing our model right now is initiation costs plus a fixed fee for, let's say, 100 scans per clinic. Thank you.
Next up is Backstop Neural.
The computer? Okay. Good to go? Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Connie Manns. I'm co-founder and CEO of Backstop Neural. We're a Dallas-based medical device company developing the first implantable therapy for restoring arm and hand function in people with spinal cord injury. So about 1 in 50 people in the US suffer from paralysis, and of those, 1.5 million Americans have paralysis due to spinal cord injury. Among those are our co-founder, Chief Medical Officer, Jason Carmel's twin brother, pictured below, who suffered a spinal cord injury in a diving accident right before graduate school and is paralyzed from the chest down. When you look at the costs associated with spinal cord injury, there's about $80 billion in direct costs and over $40 billion in indirect costs, leading to over $120 billion annually. Now, for people with cervical spinal cord injuries, restoring arm and hand function is their top priority. Affects so many things in daily life, feeding themselves, dressing themselves, just being able to grasp something. But the current standard of care has limited tools and technologies to help with this. Backstop Neural is developing the first implant to restore arm and hand function. Our epidural spinal cord stimulation system is anchored by our 32-channel ultra-thin cervical paddle lead. Combined with a compact implantable pulse generator and AI-driven stimulation programming, paired with rehabilitation, we're able to drive functional motor recovery of arms and hands. So as I mentioned, there's no implant on the market currently, but the most similar competing technologies currently would be transcutaneous spinal cord stimulation for spinal cord injury and epidural spinal cord stimulation for chronic pain. So with transcutaneous, you have electrodes that are placed externally on the skin behind your neck, but this provides very broad stimulation and can cause discomfort and pain because of the amount of current that has to be passed through the skin. So you really get minimal hand function restoration. With chronic pain, epidural spinal cord stimulation was really developed to address low back pain. And so the paddles there are thick, about 1.9 millimeters thick, and it's targeting the wrong part of the spinal cord. It's stimulating along the midline in the center rather than on the sides. For Backstop Neural, our device is purpose-built for cervical stimulation with a thin paddle lead, and also for stimulation of the lateral portions of the spinal cord for movement recovery to really get that significant hand function restoration without pain or discomfort. So we're able to do this because we leverage proprietary polymers and microfabrication processes. Our proprietary polymer is stiff for insertion, so it allows the neurosurgeon to implant it with no surgical tools. But after implantation, it softens and conforms for close, stable stimulation, as you can see below. I also mentioned that it fits easily in the cervical epidural region. So if you remember, the paddle leads for chronic pain are about 1.9 millimeters thick, which can fit in a 5 millimeter thick epidural space in the thoracic region, but not 1.5 in the cervical. Additionally, our advanced microfabrication manufacturing is what enables us to have higher channel counts and to position our electrodes to target the lateral portions of the spinal cord. We also use titanium nitride, which gives superior charge injection capacity so that we can have more efficient stimulation as well and improve battery life. All of these technologies are patent protected by 15 patents with more pending that we've licensed out of UT Dallas. So we have promising studies both in animals and in humans. Our co-founder, Jason Carmel, has demonstrated that using backstop neural devices in rats with spinal cord injury, you can stimulate the cervical spinal cord and have improvements in forelimb dexterity. In addition, he's demonstrated that the electrode size, positioning, shape really does affect the stimulation effectiveness. For our paddle leads, we've demonstrated preliminary biocompatibility, which is important since we're using a novel material. So we passed cytotox, intracutaneous, acute systemic toxicity, as well as showed no neural injury in a 21-day study in sheep. Additionally, using current tools available right now, Jason Carmel has mapped out the cervical spinal cord to show how stimulating in different parts of the spinal cord really does affect which muscles you're activating and why that is key to our device. So we're playing in a $37.5 billion US market. This is gathered from the current population of spinal cord injury patients and the current average selling price for chronic pain SCS systems, which is $25,000. If you focus on cervical injuries in the C4 to C8 level, you have a $13.8 billion market. And for our first 5 years of revenue, we project $203 million. And this is from first entering the market at the 18 spinal cord injury model system centers around the country. These are our ideal beachhead market because it is a facility that's fully integrated and it has the people there, the neurosurgeons for the procedures, as well as the facilities for the rehabilitation. They have a good network where they keep in touch with past patients, as well as ongoing connections with them and presentations and conferences that tell people about the latest and greatest research. So they really are the best market entry. Beyond that, we'll expand to other major spinal cord injury rehab centers in the country, as well as the VA. So by year 2039, we're aiming to be in about 50 different centers with about 20 procedures per quarter. So in terms of reimbursement codes, there are existing codes for spinal cord stimulation for chronic pain. We plan to leverage those codes and expand the coverage for those to our indications. Additionally, for the rehab portion of it, there are existing codes for occupational therapists, and those remain unchanged. In terms of our clinical strategy, we have a 3-phase path to the FDA. So first, we plan to do an early feasibility study, our first in human, under 29 days in 3 to 5 patients, just to demonstrate that our cervical paddle lead, and when paired with rehabilitation, provides the stimulation benefits for restoring arm and hand function. After that, we'll build out a full system and pursue pilot and pivotal studies. So we're targeting a US commercial launch by 2035, long way off, but at the same time, there are potential ways of shortening that timeline. The first 3.5 years, as I mentioned, are focused on the paddle lead development towards an early feasibility study and also breakthrough device designation and entrance into the TAP program. From there, we'll build out the full system, pursue our pilot and pivotal studies that are necessary for our PMA submission. So funding to date, we've received about $840,000 in non-dilutive funding from NIH and NSF grants. We've also raised a little over $1 million in a friends and family round. This included all of the co-founders as well as one of the founding families of Texas Instruments. We've raised $450K in safes as well. That's going into our $5 million seed funding round, which will prepare us to have the cervical paddle that's ready for our early feasibility study. In terms of our team, we have a strong technical and clinical team with the co-founders having previously raised $30 million in both non-dilutive and dilutive funding with one prior exit. Our core team is lean, but we're supported by a wealth of advisors who have broad experience from electrochemistry and polymer chemistry to clinical expertise in spinal cord stimulation, in neuromodulation, as well as heavy medical device commercialization expertise. Included in our tab is Stephen Falowski, who's a neurosurgeon who has championed many spinal cord stimulation devices with value analysis committees at hospitals. So we do have that experience as well. And we've leveraged regulatory and reimbursement consultants as well to vet our strategies. And so with that, I welcome any questions you may have.
Could you just go back to the team page real quick again? Sorry.
This one or the one before?
The one before, yeah.
What's the biggest challenge or risk that you're seeing in the next 3.5 years that you mentioned before you get to your seed stage in the preclinical study phase? Like, what's the main sort of milestones that you think are most challenging and why?
I guess I can't really count funding as a challenge, right? But funding is part of it, but otherwise it's really just getting through all the biocompatibility testing and all the preclinical testing that's needed for the IDE submission. It's doable, but it takes time, it takes money to get to that before the early feasibility study.
Can you go into the specifics of like why does it take time? Like, is it more a resource constrained activity that you can have more capital and it makes you move faster, or are there just structural issues in the system that stops you or slows you down?
Yeah, well, some of it will have to be structured. Currently, we're in an incubator space that we're not using design controls. So part of that first 3.5 years is also transitioning to a dedicated facility, implementing design controls ahead of all of that for a human early feasibility study. Otherwise, the longest study that will probably be needed for biocompatibility will be a large animal study. And so depending on what a pre-submission with the FDA says, we're hoping it will be 3 months. There's potential it would be 6 months, so that would extend things.
Thank you.
Thank you.
In terms of the competitiveness, the landscape, there's one of your competitors doing non-invasive.
So there's 2 doing non-invasive. They actually were FDA cleared last year, at the end of last year, as well as this year for the 2. One, as far as I know, is focused solely on external device. The other one does have an implantable device that they're working on, but they are not targeting in the first several indications for their implantable to do arm and hand function. Everything is thoracic or lumbosacral placement for blood pressure or locomotion.
Just to follow up on the team real quick. So really nice looking team, but I guess you guys probably all have like day jobs, I'm guessing, which is not meant to be critical. I'm curious, like, who's working on the company like day in, day out, and like what is the composition of people like in the business now, and then what does it take to get like more people actually like in the business?
Right. So I'm full-time, as well as our VP engineering is full-time. As you mentioned, our other co-founders, they have other day jobs. One is a professor at UT Dallas, although he also has other entrepreneurial efforts. The other one is a motor systems neuroscientist and neurologist at Columbia. And so we like keeping the team lean and leveraging their expertise as we can, and as much as grants will support them, I guess, is the other way we do. We do have kind of a sister company that gives us a little bit more R&D capacity when we need maybe 10% more time for someone to help out in a clean room. They can help us with that. Otherwise, it's a lot of the advisors that we leverage, especially for regulatory reimbursement, commercial expertise.
Thank you.
Connie, good job. Good to see you again. So the company's effectively 8 years old. You've raised about $2.4 million, and you've got another 9 years to go to get to FDA approval. That's a long, long time. How much mapping have you done to the investment capital you're going to require to get to that point? And obviously, you're running with 2 full-time headcount now, but there's an investment, a seed investment that has to happen over the next 3.5 years. Give us some perspective, I guess, and what do you need from a resource perspective? And how can you collapse that 9 years? That just seems like an awfully long period of time.
Sure. And I will say on paper it is from 2018, although the company was formed earlier to start pursuing grant funding and really didn't ramp up operations until we had a sub-award in 2021. But that's also why we didn't raise our friends and family round until 2022 and 2023.
Sure.
So it looks a little bit longer than it is. In terms of the long timeline for development, there are certain ways that we could potentially shorten it. We've taken the approach of having 2 seed funding rounds before the Series A to de-risk different things. And so part of that is that we aren't starting on the development of the implantable pulse generator yet. That's a part of it that's fairly well known. There's a lot of contract manufacturers for that, but it does take time, it does take money. And so it's either we raise money now to speed it up and do it now, but in talking with a lot of kind of angel investors or the people we would be getting seed funding from, they would rather it go longer and not spend that money now.
Sure.
So that's one way we could shorten it. And then with the trials, we would love if we didn't have to do a pilot trial. We can't count on that at this point, but it might depend a little bit on what our early feasibility results are and engagement with the FDA of whether they would have a stomach for going straight to a pivotal, especially because spinal cord injury is a little bit smaller of a population comparatively in medical device.
Okay. And I'm asking you to look into the future. I apologize for that. But when you look forward to FDA approval, what's the plan of the company? Do you guys want to run this as a standalone? Do you want to sell it as a strategic?
Yes, so ultimately, I think it will make sense to do acquisition. I kind of wish we were still in the earlier days where you could go for an IPO pre-PMA, but that doesn't seem like that's really a thing anymore. There are some strategics out there that might be interested for acquisitions, but we would most likely have to get to market first and prove ourselves there before they'd be interested in acquiring. But from what we've seen, especially in the neuromodulation section, they are willing to pay a premium to see you on the market and commercialized. They will pay for that.
Sure. Thank you.
Yes. Hi.
Hi. Great presentation. What makes you think that you can compete kind of with the big players, you know, DePuy, you know, you have Stryker. I mean, these are huge people with lots of R&D. So how can you compete with them, and why have they done this already?
Yeah. So I would say looking at spinal cord stimulation for chronic pain is the best way to look because it's actually been on the market for several decades. You have Medtronic, you have Abbott, Boston Scientific, and Nevro that was acquired by Globus. And so with a couple new players out there. I would say one of the big things is they don't like new materials. If you look especially at the hardware, there's been a lot of innovation in the stimulation waveforms, which has been good for chronic pain, but, and there's some reducing the size of the pulse generator and things like that. But when you look at the leads, they've been pretty much the same for the past several decades, other than increasing channel count and things like that. And part of it is talking to them, they don't want to go through a new material. It's a lot of development. We spent 10 years in academia before even pulling it out into the business, making sure our materials were biocompatible, hydrolytically stable, all of that before bringing it over. And that's one of those things that they just don't really have a stomach for, but in this application really gives us an advantage.
Thank you.
On your market slide, I saw the SAM, TAM, and SOM. SOM was at the bottom, I'm assuming, but then I looked over to the right, it showed the same number for a 5-year cumulative revenue.
So it, we projected the 5-year cumulative revenue, not necessarily the SOM. So if it was more, what did we think we could capture?
In what years does that represent, the 5 years?
It was 2035 to 2039.
Okay, thank you.
Say a quick question on the patents. How old are those in view? And I'm thinking this in terms of the length of time you have.
Right. So some of the earliest patents were filed in 2012 and 2013, but we have divisionals that are as recent as 2024 on some of the other ones.
So just on the key innovation piece, is it really the material science around like the lead that starts out really stiff when you insert it and then becomes soft and conformal once it's inside the body? Like what are I guess the key innovations that are part of this company at its core?
So it is that polymer, you're right. It has certain things that help with both the implant, because people have tried to do a thinner lead out of silicone and it ends up floppy, and you hand it to a neurosurgeon and they're like, no, thank you. So the polymer that we use as the substrate, as the encapsulation, is part of it, but it's also the microfabrication because it allows us to pattern much more specifically electrode designs. And again, if you look at what's currently on the market, it's bulk, large electrodes that don't give you specific stimulation. It's wire bundles, all encapsulated in silicone. So it's both the fabrication process as well as that material.
Thank you for that. And then I noticed on your timeline in the first 3.5 years, you had a comment there around paddle lead development. Could you just maybe expand a little bit more on, you know, given all the work that's been done to date and the patents filed to date, I guess, can you help us understand a little bit why that's one of the next key steps that still has to be de-risked? And maybe like, what do you mean by that?
Yeah, so essentially having a neurosurgeon ready paddle lead with the wires that plug into whatever is stimulating. And so part of that is the full assembly. We've had different iterations we're optimizing, but some of it is also just making sure that it's under design controls, that we pulled it out of the university fully. We're still leveraging some of the manufacturing. But some of that wiring, while it sounds like, oh, it's just wiring, you go to a contract manufacturer and say, I want the wire that has the 8 rings of metal on it, and it's like, okay, that's $125,000 and it'll take several months. So that wiring part, while it's not flashy or anything, is critical. Yeah. And can I add one thing to that? So we could do a study that's 29 days. We showed in a stability over 21 days. We could do that, but we want the finished paddle that would go into the pilot and pivotal as well.
All right. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you.
We're now on a short break, and by short, I mean like 10 minutes. Let's try to be back in our seats by 3:33. Restrooms are back here behind the AV stand. Say thanks to them on your way by. 2-minute warning, folks. Please start heading back to your seats. Howdy. I know you want to keep talking. Let's try that one more time and at least let the all our guests to Aggieland know how this works. Howdy. Y'all would please take your seats. We need to get started again. Kind of keep this moving, get y'all back on the road. I'll also remind you, please do ask questions. The judges can see those, can get worked in. Next up, please welcome Pike Robotics.
Sir. Left, right here. Go. So in 2019, Phillips 66 approached UT Austin to help them automate storage tank inspection without human intervention. After many years of development, my team and I have delivered a commercial-ready solution to their problem. Hi, I'm Connor Crawford. I'm the CEO and founder of Pike Robotics and its first mechanical engineer. I used to work at Lockheed Martin designing launch vehicles for low Earth orbit, and I returned to UT Austin to pursue my PhD in robotics. I was blessed enough there to be given a graduate research project where I got to work on the North America's first and only wall-climbing explosion-proof robot for robust inspection. And I'm going to tell you today how we're delivering better, faster, and safer inspections for customers like Phillips 66. So there are a number of equipment used in critical industries, energy, oil and gas. However, this equipment is aging rapidly, and this makes inspections more important than ever to plan maintenance and prevent failures. However, today's inspection methods are outdated, expensive, and hazardous. It can cost operators upwards of $700,000 just to shut down and prepare a piece of fixed equipment for inspection. And this is all before sending someone inside to do an inspection, which is a very dangerous task
as you can see from the statistics from the Bureau of Labor Statistics. So with all these added costs, concerns around uptime and safety, there's been an increased adoption of robotic tools for a lot of this work. However, none of these tools are approved for flammable environments, and if they are, they're very limited in what they can do. This drastically limits their usefulness for a variety of inspection and repair tasks. So I'm going to tell you about Walleye. It is I mentioned the first robot that's been certified by a nationally recognized testing lab in North America for going into these flammable environments. It prevents risk, it cuts time and cost, captures a lot better data. So here's us on a job site. I'm going to tell you that when we're deploying the robot here into a tank, you see it driving down. It can pry back seals and covers without damage to kind of see and feel what's going on underneath. It can navigate around the entirety of the tank to produce an inspection report. We have physical probes on the robot that actually probe down into the seals and look for different issues with tears, excessive gaps, misalignment of features that are typical in a pristine condition. These seals are really critical at preventing the formation and escape of volatile organic compounds, and without them, you risk the communities around and the facility safety. So we collect a variety of data sets: visual, point cloud, thermal, contact sensing, adding on ultrasonics later this year. And we use all this data. We use a variety of machine learning computational techniques to detect damage and degradation real time and to produce a report for the customer, giving them better control over their asset health and helping them plan when they need to do these inspections, or the maintenance events, I should say. So we provide real-time detection and produce a report pretty much the day of or a couple days after that. This data set that we're collecting, we're the only ones that we know of. There may be someone in the Far East that can collect this, but as far as I know, we're the only ones that are collecting dozens and dozens of hours in these flammable environments. And as we grow that data set, then the machine learning engineers that we're going to add to the team are going to be able to help us tell the customer when they need to do maintenance, so part of the predictive maintenance theme that's been going around. We've already worked with a number of digital twin providers, Gecko Robotics and Drone Deploy, for having our data feed into their pipeline. So they're more partners than kind of competitors in that sense. So some of the benefits, kind of why is this better than the incumbent method? Number one, most importantly, is worker safety. If you go to any of these facilities, you're going to find out that they start with a safety minute of the day every time when they do work at these plants. So we can help eliminate confined space entry and these fatality risks. We can help them avoid fines with documentation. I was just talking to an operator the other day, and they said, "Hey, we got hit with a fine from PIMSA, and it's because we didn't have this report ready to give to them." So what we can do is help owner-operators with their inspection reports and help them pass those audits. We're able to help the customers grow revenue up to 4% by keeping the uptime of their equipment online. So we can basically prevent those kind of 2 to 3 weeks of downtime that can happen when you're doing these inspections, preparing, draining, and degassing the asset. And if you do have to drain and degas it, that can be anywhere from $120,000 to $150,000. And so we can do inspections while they're in service, making it so that you don't have to do that. You still might have to take the tank out of service to do a repair. However, when we've talked to customers, about 75% of the time they do an inspection, they don't find anything. So there is no reason to take that asset out. So we're helping them with an option to keep it online. So breaking it all down, today we can do about 60% of all storage tank types. Happy to get into the limitations of it in Q&A. But the robot is certified for explosive atmospheres. We've been working on that for 3.5 years. I'll get into more of that later. Collects a very high resolution data set, about 30,000 7-inch, which is all we need to do any type of inspection task the customer is asking. And up to an 80% cost reduction, as well as inspection time that matches what humans could do today. So our business model is 3-part. The main one is on-site inspection. That is how we become the next Gecko Robotics, how we become the next Square robot. We're gonna charge and cut out the middleman on these jobs. However, we are gonna need partners. These jobs are on a recurring annual basis. And so we can't do all of them all the time. So we're gonna need partners. Other service providers already have these master service agreements at these sites. And we've worked with Crestone and DT. We've worked with Osprey, we've worked with Ranger. We've worked with customers across Canada. We've even worked with the largest NDT provider in North America, a company called Acuren. They just did a $4 billion merger with a company called NV5, and that's a potential acquisition target for us. In terms of our beachhead market is above ground storage tanks. There's a lot of different types of assets. We're focusing on the 233,000 above ground storage tanks that are located across the globe. You pick a country, you pick a fuel depot, they're going to be there. This is a $3.5 billion market based off a $15,000 blended cost to shut down and prepare a tank for inspection. There are different types of tanks. I'm happy to get into that in Q&A, open top, closed top, EFRs, IFRs. In terms of our competitive advantage or competitive differentiation, how we're kind of different from Square and Gecko Robotics, only ones that can go into the vapor space in service. They have tools that can actually go into the liquid product, though that is one part of the puzzle. It takes a village. So we are one of the tools for the vapor space. We have partners like Gecko for the externals, Square for the internals in the liquid. This is my favorite slide. This is going back to 2022 from our first pilot field test with Phillips 66 all the way to our most recent job with Chevron at our refinery in east of San Francisco. We've done 7 field tests, 5 completed contracts. Just closed on 2 contracts, 6 tank inspection contract up in Waco, another 3 tank contract in Louisiana with a pretty big name in the chemical space that you'd know. We got 8 active proposals and 37 storage tanks that we've been in or field tested or completed inspections on to date. This is what's driving all this. Why am I here in front of you now? Why did I come to another Texas A&M New Ventures pitch competition other than just wanting to see all you friendly faces again? We got this certification that has unlocked us for any type of product that you can think of: crude oil, gasoline, jet fuel, diesel, toluene, xylene, benzene. We can do it. There are limitations on crude oil. Happy to get into that. We have a T4 temperature rating, keeps basically anything from getting to an auto ignition temperature that's going to cause an explosion. It's de-risk for operators, and we are approved access to facilities. We have HASC, DISA, any other registrations that we need to get on site, we have those. Here's our pricing matrix here. Some of the jobs that work best in bundled settings: the EFR 6 to 8.5K, 15K to 25K for the IFR inspections, the closed top tanks, I should say. That's our primary revenue driver. How we get to these larger contracts is 25K to 40K. That's when we can do all of these inspections on this list right here. And that includes the pontoons, that includes the deck fittings, that includes legs, that includes any kind of gap, any kind of fitting that we need to pull back and look into. Right now we can do every one except 9, 10, and 14. In terms of early revenue traction, we've got 328,000 that is confirmed and visible. Some of that is we've got in the bank, a large portion that we got in the bank, others is upcoming. $100,000 job, or a little under $100,000 with Suncor, 12 tank contract. Pilot that has become a repeat IFR inspection for Chevron Phillips Chemical, and then our most recent job at Chevron, and we're also doing a job in Galena Park, east of our new office in Greentown Labs. So our path to $1 million revenue, because that's what really makes you a company, in my mind, I think you could all agree, is how do you get to $1 million? It's 10 jobs. That's not true. Do my math on that. I'll come back to me. We need 10 out of 14 available slots, and we're currently filling those up weekly and sometimes daily. Those are 4 EFR site packages, 6 IFR site packages, and 1 robot lease to a trusted service provider that we've been working with, especially on that last job. We're going to lease the robot for around $110,000. America, we will lease to a handful of service providers. but we will start to phase that out as we They also have a service division that they're looking to bring this robot into the suite of offerings. Getting close to my time here, I've gone a little bit over. So onshore and offshore use cases, been funded through Chevron, through the Deep Star Technology Consortium, to make this robot work for not just onshore assets, but also offshore, these spar platforms, these double hold vessels. Hopefully get to that in the next couple of years. Looking at around $74 million by year 5. That equates to 9,200 inspections. That is 300 300 inspections by each robot. That is each a year if they're running kind of like 80% capacity, and that is basically 30 crews running those 30 robots, and so doing 300 inspections a year. So that's how we get to that number. Here's our team. A lot of experience in hazardous location design. And test certification and testing. Zach and myself have been working on this company since 3 years of graduate program, a few years as a business now. Lee Rice has run a successful explosion-proof camera business in and around the Houston area for the last 20 years. So he's been a big help for us getting this robot over that certification line. Got a lot of improved team on mechatronics side, on software side. Isabel King's here, our chief of staff. There she is. Got a good team behind us, and going to be expanding to about 13 heads by the end of next year, or this year. Investor and industry report, we've brought in about $2.2 million, mostly non-dilutive funding, highlighted by the NSF Phase 2 grant that we just got last September. Worked with 15 plus customers to develop walleye, kind of big names that you see on the list there. We've taken this from a university lab to site inspection contracts. And our next step is that enterprise recurring revenue, multi-tank, multi-site contracts. Happy to get into some of the industries that we're built for, but oil and gas, chemical, wastewater, those are the big 3 in our pipeline right now. We're raising $3 million to basically scale, build more robots, grow the service team, and we've got a lot of that committed already. Here's our 18-month milestones, but I'm gonna cut it here, and I'm gonna tell you why we're a win. We've got large recurring demand. We've got technology that's validated. We've got a pricing edge, especially on the IFR tanks. We have a clear inflection point that happens once we get these multi-site contracts, and we have a hazardous location expertise on the team that's been proven and can develop a lot of products, not just this first robot. So the future of industrial inspection isn't dull, dirty, and dangerous. It's automated, accurate, and accident-free. Thank you for your time.
I think I just really was trying to get to, in my mind, I was like, when is he going to talk about Gecko Robotics? And so I would really encourage you in your storytelling, don't avoid them.
No.
Go early on, slide 2, we are the explosion-proof, gas-certified alternative to Gecko, or something like that.
Sure.
And here's how our team matches their team at the early stage, and why we're going to be the Lyft to their Uber. I was trying to follow, what makes you guys special. You have a patent, I guess, for
2.
Okay, 2. All right. So, but I'm just kind of still stuck. These guys have been in the market for a really long time. That's fine. That doesn't bother me. Again, Uber, Lyft, right? So, execution matters. Some of this stuff matters. That's fine. I just, how are you going to sort of create conviction around the idea, hey, our team's just like theirs was, maybe even better. Our moment is better. Our timing's good. We've raised, and we can tackle this huge part of the market that they can't. That's the story that I'm kind of looking for.
I'll quickly answer that. Their investors are pushing them to be more of a software play. Their cantilever platform is really what they're pushing for. To really, our data, we're going to be able to help predict some failures, but they're going to be the ones where all this data is flowing to from all their partners that they have on the drone side, on the ground robot side, on the wall crawling side, right? They've actually set us up with that Suncor customer in Canada. Their North American sales manager set us up with them because we collected a data set that they can't currently. Yeah, could they go and develop that? Sure. Over enough years, get around our patents, anything's possible, right? They don't want to do that. They're focused on the data. We're focused on the data. And so we're going to be feeding that data into their pipeline and working with them for when it makes sense.
The biggest hurdle you have so far is the number of robots, right? Like that's the main thing you're raising for to build
I'm turning
more
down
robots.
jobs currently, yeah.
Right.
Because we don't have the personnel, we don't have the people, yeah.
Right. And
Or the robots.
how fast can you build these robots?
A little less than a month.
In a month.
Less than a month, yeah. That's on the highest lead time item is one of the motors that we use, and that takes around 2 to 3 weeks to get there.
What's been the sales cycle?
Yeah, it's a good question. It's a lot faster now, I'll tell you that much. Shell, it took us like 10 months to get onto their facility, but now that we've learned what they need to give us approval to get on site, it's a lot quicker. It can be anywhere from a 3 month. 3 months is kind of what we've seen on one of the most recent jobs. So for those really big enterprise level contracts, that will take around 2 years. It starts with a pilot. Even if we've done work at another site, it starts with a pilot, and then it starts with a site inspection contract, and then they do like a press release in the company and say, hey, we're using these guys, we'd like you to use them as well. So that can be anywhere from 3 months to 2 years to really get on those recurring large contracts that what we care about, how we get to that $75 million number.
Is there another ICP that's faster than that? Like
ICP?
Like your initial customer profile, I saw the asset owners listed as a core go-to market. Inspection companies, do you think that is a good way to like enter the market and it's easier to sell to them? Just trying to understand like how do you shorten that cycle, or what have you learned from your pilots and doing this over and over again? Like who to talk to, what are the major objections that these people have? Is it because of the market fluctuations or the people you speak to? Just curious, like what are the learnings?
We're prioritizing those customers that have initiatives in place to reduce confined space work, to reduce work at elevated heights. Chevron's one of the big ones there, and also Dow Chemical. Those are the ones that are kind of leading the initiative to really, and they're highly motivated to introduce. They have a program in place to where they can't use traditional methods if there is a robotic or alternative that is kind of a remotely located, no one in the confined space like ours is, then that's a good fit for that program. And also companies that are facing like fines and regulations that they've been hit on those recently. And so those are the drivers to make it move faster, because if there's a fire under their ass, they're going to move faster than if there's not. So.
Connor, what's the, you mentioned your particular robot cannot inspect liquid environments?
Yes, sir, that's true.
What percentage does that represent out of the market?
Well, every single one of these tanks has liquid in it, so.
Okay, you just can't go into the liquid.
It's like I mentioned, it takes a village. There's a lot of different tools that are used. We're gonna focus on what we're good at. That's how we don't want to compete with Gecko, don't want to compete with Square. They've been working on this for as long as we have, and well, much longer in some cases. So we're going to focus on the vapor space.
Okay.
Audience question, tell us about insurance liability or scale.
Ooh, yeah. I did get, we have a $3 million umbrella policy. Some customers require a $10 million policy.
That's time.
Oh.
Yeah, sorry.
Were you kidding?
Yeah.
Oh,
Nope, we're out.
okay.
Sorry.
Yes, it was.
Tried.
Good with the answer.
Good job, Lucas. All right. Thank you for bearing with us, and thanks for the questions. I tried to get one in there. All right, next up, Gail.
$175 billion. That's how much money is simply sitting in HSA and FSA accounts today. Yet the vast majority of people don't know what they can spend their pre-tax dollars on or where they can spend them. In fact, spending this money can be so difficult that at the end of the year, FSA holders alone lost $4 billion in use it or lose it funds. Not only that, but merchants can't accept HSA cards because the HSA or FSA simply declines the transaction because they're unable to verify that what is in the cart is eligible, and they need to maintain IRS compliance. I'm Tom, the CEO and co-founder of Gale, and we make it easy to pay with HSA. First, we automatically flag eligible products and make it quick and easy for shoppers to identify those products while they browse online. Second, merchants can embed Gale's HSA and FSA alternative payment method directly into their checkout. 2 in 3 HSA shoppers say they wouldn't have made that purchase otherwise, meaning they're net new or found revenue. We're building two-sided network effects with millions of high-intent HSA shoppers on one side, thousands of merchants, and hundreds of thousands of products on the other side, so we can connect merchants with high-intent HSA shoppers. And why would a merchant want to add HSA and FSA? It's simple. 1 in 5 Americans have access to these accounts, soon to be 1 in 3. We increase add to cart rates by about 5%, checkout conversion rate increases by over 10%, and HSA cards have a higher average order value by about 20 to 30%. We integrate with all major e-commerce platforms, which means merchants can go live in a matter of minutes, not months, or even for enterprises, years. As of today, we have robust APIs, webhooks for enterprise merchants, and no-code solutions for Shopify, BigCommerce, WooCommerce, and many, many more. 8 in 10 consumers now consider wellness a top or important priority. And because of this, wellness spend is expected to double over the next decade. With $44 billion in payments processed in wellness alone, this is a multi-billion-dollar opportunity. Gale has a very simple business model. We charge 3.9% plus 30 cents per transaction. We have interchange plus pricing for enterprise merchants. And merchants don't really think of us like a typical payment processor as a cost center. They think of us as a growth or revenue driver for their business. Merchants today face 3 key choices. 1, do nothing and miss out on potential revenue. 2, build and maintain an IRS compliant solution in-house. Or 3, simply integrate with the likes of Gale. Over the past 12 or so months, we've gained critical certifications that enable us, they make us one of the only global payment providers that can accept HSA and FSA cards compliantly in the checkout for eligible products. In Q2 last year, we launched our beta payments platform, and in Q3 last year, we released it for general availability. And since then, we've acquired almost 200 merchants. People often think HSA, FSA is a niche payment method for boutique health and wellness brands. As of today, we've got major skincare providers, fitness, sleep, nutrition, consumer telehealth, retail, grocery, all transacting on our platform. We think we can target well over 50% of e-commerce and retail merchants today. So we launched in Q3, as I mentioned, last year. At the end of last year, we had a payments annual run rate in terms of volume of around $2 million. As of today, we've closed $50 million in annual payment processing, and that puts us, in terms of revenue run rate, over $1 million. We've built and scaled early-stage startups, unicorns, and Fortune 500s with specific HSA and payments experience. My co-founder, Kadir, has built a payments company from 0 shoppers to 1 million shoppers in less than 12 months and worked at growth-stage fintechs processing 20 million transactions a day. I've worked as the head of growth at an HSA startup that was later acquired by United Health Group. One of the most exciting things, certainly for me, in the HSA and FSA space is the opportunity. 20 years ago, there was less than $5 billion in assets under management. Today, there's almost $200 billion, and in 10 years, we're going to be close to $1 trillion. Not only that, but there are massive inflection and regulatory tailwinds behind us. And we don't need these to happen in order to be a big business, but they certainly help. And we bucket them into two categories. The first is more eligible products. The 2020 CARES Act added women's health products and telehealth as eligible products and services. We've got the FIT Act, which would make fitness an eligible product or service. And there's other such legislation for dental, sleep, nutrition, and more. So more products are becoming eligible, which means Gale gets a greater share of the checkout. The second category we bucket this into is more Americans having access to open an HSA. It used to be you needed a high deductible health plan in order to open an HSA. The One Big Beautiful Bill added 20 to 30 million Americans that previously couldn't have an HSA. It allows them to open an HSA. And there's a big movement for something called decoupling, which basically means every American will be able to open an HSA and get their triple tax savings. Join us as we change the way people pay for health and wellness, helping businesses grow and saving consumers billions. Thank you.
Hey, great presentation, and congratulations for being a finalist. So you have to educate me, please. So I'm one of those old guys that has the high deductible plan, and every month my paycheck is swiped right. It goes into a Fidelity account, my HSA Fidelity account. Fidelity issued me this debit card.
Yep.
I've never tried to use this debit card at a movie theater. Are you telling me that if I tried to use it at a movie theater, it would be declined?
It should be, yes.
Okay, because I've only tried to use it at healthcare for healthcare situations.
Yeah.
So it should be declined if I swipe it for something other than healthcare.
Yes, exactly. Okay. Or even if you go to CVS and you buy a packet of gum, it should decline that transaction. Okay. Yeah.
Quick question on the growth. So you launched last year, Q3. Between then and now, with 120 merchants acquired, what's been the revenue? What has happened between those two events?
Yeah, we're just under 100K in actualized revenue. But in terms of that 50 million in volume that we've closed, most of those merchants are currently in onboarding, and that's what will get us to $1 million in annual revenue run rate.
What's the friction on onboarding? Like, curious, like what does it take for a customer to onboard?
Yeah, one of our biggest blockers to date has been time to activation, which is time from the merchant closing to transacting. That has taken up to 30 to 60 days because we depend on Visa and MasterCard to onboard the merchants into their account. We're actually working on something right now, which we expect to launch this quarter, that will take that time to activation from 60 days down to a week.
Last question, how do you acquire customers?
Most of our customers that we acquire today is through founder-led sales and outbound. And then our second distribution path is via our partnerships with payment service providers and them bringing merchants to us who want to accept HSA payments and they want the payments to stay on their platform.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Sorry, just hopefully a quick question. I see in the notes, it says 2023 founded, but then you say you launched in 2025. Maybe you could just clarify real quick. I just want to make sure I'm clear on your timeline.
Yeah, we launched built a Delaware C Corp in 2023. We launched the product Q2 2025 and launched for general availability in Q3 2025. We actually went full-time on the business September last year, and between then and Q2 beta launch, it was all of the certifications needed in order to actually compliantly accept HSA and FSA cards. You're welcome.
Hey, Tom. Great presentation. So you mentioned onboarding through Visa, MasterCard. I mean, are you guys an acquirer? Are you a gateway? Are you an ISO? What are you?
Yeah, most similar out of those to an ISO.
Yep.
So we partner with payment service providers like Stripe, Adyen, who are the processor and sometimes acquirer. We sit one level above that. So we sit between the merchant and the processor, and we get the merchant, IRS compliant, pull their products, flag what's eligible, and send data down the transaction all the way to the card networks and card issuer to show that the items in the cart are eligible. So we're between the processor and the merchant.
Okay, so why do you need to register a Visa and MasterCard if you already have a processor?
So for HSA and FSA payments, I can do a deeper dive in this. Essentially, Visa and MasterCard have to add that merchant, their merchant ID and merchant information into what's called their IIAS database to enable us to send the data fields that they require to flag eligible products and send that to the card issuer.
Okay. Yeah, changing gears on you for the pricing. You're charging PayPal-like pricing, not traditional acquirer-like pricing. So are you consuming interchange through this process? So your gross is 3.9, but you're still consuming all of the net interchange?
Yeah, that's correct. That's correct.
Okay. And so what's the margin on the business? The overwhelming majority of HSA, FSA cards are debit, much lower interchange.
Yeah.
How do you substantiate 3.9%? Is that a driver for your low merchant adoption, and how do you feel about that?
So for SMB and mid-market, we charge 3.9% plus 30 cents. As far as the market goes, that's very, very good pricing. Because we are looked at more similar to BNPL, buy now, pay later, where we're actually adding growth and revenue versus like race to the bottom on standard payment processing. In terms of margins on that 3.9%, we make 150 to 200 basis points depending on the interchange fee. And then one other real quick thing is enterprise pricing. We can offer interchange plus pricing, which means we can actually, for enterprises, those fees are typically reduced because they're paying interchange plus card network fees plus 100 bits, let's say.
Okay. And then last question, sorry, I'm in the weeds. How do you handle split ticket? So you've got somebody's buying two things in their cart, one of them's HSA eligible?
Yes, good question. So when a user checks out, they go to the checkout, they're going to see credit card, PayPal, buy now, pay later, and Gale Pay with HSA, FSA. When they select Pay with HSA, FSA, they get rerouted to our iframe or hosted payment page to check out. So from there, we automatically can split the eligible and non-eligible items out and take two different payment tenders, two different cards, one credit card, one HSA card. And we also offer partial authorization, which is critical for FSA because FSA is use it or lose it. So in many cases, you're just trying to spend your balance. So if you try and pay with your HSA and the cart size is $500 and you only have $200, we'll authorize the $200 and then you can put the rest on a remaining card. So what we've really built is a custom checkout that is built for HSA, FSA versus just standard card processing.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
I've got a couple of questions. One is, what keeps American Express, Visa and MasterCard from just offering FSA or, cards?
So the biggest issue with HSA, FSA is validating what is in the cart and whether it's eligible. So one of the big things that we do is we connect to the merchant's product catalog. We can flag the products as eligible or not eligible, and then send that down the payment stack. Visa and MasterCard are there to, assist with processing the transaction from the processor to the issuing bank and make sure the funds get transferred.
But there's nothing IP related on that transaction or that process. So why, if, eventually they're going to see the volume going up and want a part of it?
Yeah, I'd say like where Visa and MasterCard are is very much in the card network space. Above that, you have processors and acquirers, and then we're one level above that. So if Visa and MasterCard were going to come in, they might go one level above, which they haven't done, versus connecting with every single merchant individually to pull their eligible products.
Okay. And then last question is, I know you're a B2B business, so you get your revenue, from the merchants.
Yeah.
But I think you're underestimating the importance of the consumer, because the consumer could also be a spokesperson to bring that into the favorite store. And what I mean by that, when I've used them or given to my employees, the number one complaint is they don't know their balance.
Yeah.
Right, so now it's November, December, and they're buying Costco toothpaste.
Yeah.
So is there anything to make the consumer a more enjoyable experience than the current system?
Yeah, you're absolutely right. We're B2B2C. So our customers today are merchants, retailers, e-commerce stores. They are the ones that are buying the product from us, but the users are shoppers. Both my co-founder and I came from the buy now, pay later space. That's where we met. And what Klarna, Affirm, and Afterpay have done really well is they've built really strong brands with tens of millions of shoppers that are loyal to them. So we're definitely taking like a leaf out of their playbook. That's going to come further down the road, probably towards the end of this year, where we start to build some consumer-facing products, like being able to pull all of your eligible transactions from your email and reimburse them for you. An app that includes thousands of products that are eligible. We know your balance. We know the type of things you like to buy and shop for. And we can offer you products to spend your pre-tax dollars on, or FSA, use it or lose it dollars on. So that's where we're going. Right now, we're just hyper-focused on building a really good merchant experience because we get distribution to the shoppers through the merchant.
Thank you.
What would you consider your biggest threat to be? Like, what keeps you up at night about the business?
What keeps me up at night is it's greenfield space right now. It reminds me a lot of buy now, pay later in the early days. So many of the merchants we speak to, we're speaking to multiple multi-billion-dollar enterprise merchants. They are doing an RFP of vendors for the first time, and it's about speed of go-to-market and building those two-sided network effects. So it seems fairly simplistic in terms of our biggest problem, but it's moving fast enough in go-to-market to be the first HSA, FSA payment provider on their checkout, or we end up in a, trying to rip somebody else out scenario. So what I lose sleep over is fast execution on go-to-market.
We've got a couple of minutes here to talk about your raise. So you're asking you're looking for $750,000. What's the use of those funds? And tell us a little bit about your exit, or non-exit. You may.
Yeah. So the primary use of the funds, like our biggest blocker to taking some actually like multi-billion enterprises live today, is we don't have like integrations into certain platforms. So most of the money is going to be used on engineering. We're a team of 3 right now, so everything you've seen is my co-founder who's technical and 1 engineer. All of the integrations, everything we've built to date is 3 of us. It's many, many sleepless nights. So over 50% of the money is allocated to product and engineering, and unblocking, therefore, some of the go-to-market blockers that we have to get merchants live. Exit-wise, it's early, but we have very strong partnerships with our payment service providers, and they see HSA, FSA as one of the most important things in their card processing in the US today in terms of growing their volume on their current set of merchants. So I think that is the likely exit path, or we can IPO on the Texas Stock Exchange.
I guess, can you just say a little bit more about maybe timeline to exit? Like, when are you thinking about you're going to reach a critical mass where, you're in that right kind of sweet spot where it's just, cheaper enough for somebody to buy you than to build this thing themselves?
Yeah, the way we're thinking about it today, and it's dynamic and it's changing, is we partnered with these payment processors and these payment service providers, and what they're doing is now, they're sending us some of their top merchants, and they're really getting a feel for, does this work? How much volume do we drive? So I think the sweet spot for us is somewhere post Series A, around Series C, right in that mark there, where it's
Time.
You don't get too expensive. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Last up in our randomized, no particular order finals, Octane.
So just this. Yeah. Thank you. Howdy. My name is Narendra. This is Enrique, and we are co-founders of Octane. Octane is a vertical AI startup, and we are focused on convenience store operations. Why convenience stores? Firstly, because they're a huge market opportunity, but more importantly, the pain is obvious there. And the pain is well understood if you actually look at the daily operations that happen at the store level. For example, if let's say there is a vendor delivery that happens at the store, they come in with an invoice, but someone has to look at the invoice, check the cost, and check if the prices are in order, and if they have to update their selling price at the store level. Otherwise, margins are going to leak. But the store managers rarely have time to do that because they are putting down like 100 other files that are happening in the store. Some operators, they actually hire some third-party vendors, some back-office teams to manage this, but they come at a cost, and they also come with some delays. They have software systems, but all they do is, they stop at the point of recording the transactions, but they don't have the capabilities to execute it. And this is not a one-off case. This is the reality of convenience store operations today. So margin leaks, and the owners typically find that out at the end of the month when they do the cash reconciliation. So that's why we are building Octane. We want to give every store its own AI operator that quietly carries out the daily operational workflows that happen at the store in the background, so the owners can run the stores more consistently and more profitably, and also scale without much overhead. And this is not just a good concept. We actually went from an idea to live deployments in 4 months. Octane is running live today in 3 of the stores in Texas. And we have a scale-up plan to roll this out to 45 stores by August. And last month, we got our biggest validation. Our first customer decided to become our first investor because they were really impressed with the pilot results, and they invested $2 million into this to build this whole thing out. And we were able to move this fast because, like I mentioned, the pain is obvious. And if you think of the convenience stores, like from outside, they look like a mom and pop stores, but they're a huge network. There are 150,000 stores in the US, and they generate like 800 billion in sales every year. And on the flip side, when you look at the operations on day-to-day, they're pretty manual, they're messy, they involve a lot of repetitive, high-volume manual tasks. And the problem is not typically because they're not better software or not better tools. They have good POS systems, good back-office software, but the burden of using the tools and actually taking actions based on what they're seeing on the tools still relies on the human. Until now, the software was not able to learn how to operate or how to understand the context and make actions out of it. But with agentic AI technology, that gap is getting shortened. And that's what Octane is leveraging. We are using agentic AI technology to convert this software into an operator to build a system of execution. So that is conceptually what Octane is, but how do we package into a product? So Octane is offered as a tiered subscription as an AI store operator. So one store operator for each store, charged at 3 different levels of operational coverage on a monthly basis. Every bullet point that you see here is an actual workflow that is happening at the store today in a manual fashion. And whatever we develop, like we develop autonomous agents for each of these workflows, and we're not just developing for the sake of developing a bunch of agents. Every workflow has a business case, a clear value associated with that. And talking about value, these are some of our early pilot results. And these are not estimates, these are real numbers that we measured over the last 1.5 months. These are from 3 stores, and for the same workflow that I was talking about, the invoice processing. We were able to reduce the processing time from about 30 to 40 minutes to under 3 minutes. And the prices update happen at the store in near real time. So today they happen at the best case in 12 hours, or some stores even like wait 1 week to update the prices. So they leak margins there. And on the operational cost, this is the tangible benefit, also not the biggest of the value levers, but The tangible benefit is today's stores spend like about $400 on this particular workflow, either to third parties or hiring other people to do this. So with Octane, we were able to do this for $12. And of course, after adding our margins, we'll be selling it for $80. And coming to accuracy, we were able to actually match it close to human level accuracy with the agents. So we compared like last 3 months of transactions that the humans did, and then compared like A/B testing with the agents. And this is the performance benchmarking results. In some of the cases, we actually found within the 3%, there are actually some errors by humans that the agents actually corrected them. And this is just for one workflow. And when you look at the store operations end to end, we have identified like 10 to 12 core workflows that can really use the value of agents. And when you put them together, the full potential is more than 100K on an average for each store annually. And that comes at an ROI of 4 to 10x. Zooming out a little bit about the market, our immediate focus is in the small and mid-sized operators in the South, because that's where we have our advisors have a good network, an operator network. So we are focusing on Texas, Oklahoma, and Florida stores. That puts us at around like 19,000 stores that we can target immediately. And then taking that across the US, there are about 105,000 stores that are small and mid-sized scale. Our long-term vision for Octane is not just convenience stores. So technically, you can apply the same operational agentic OS methodology to several other operational businesses. So the adjacent sectors could be like car washes, budget motels, truck stops, and whatnot. So that improves our total market to 4 billion plus. And then what gives us long-term competitive advantage are basically 3 things. So we are a software-based company at this point. So for us, defensibility comes from these 3 things. So the number 1 is workflow and entrenchment. So the more workflows Octane takes, like be it fuel, be it vendor management, inventory management. So the more workflows that Octane takes care, we get embedded into the daily store operations and become an essential part of the operations. Second point, the cross-system interfaces. That's kind of underappreciated, but that's actually a powerful moat because today the systems are like super siloed. Like there is a fuel operation, there is maintenance, there is vendor, there is price book. They're all operating in different silos, and they have like different software for each of them. When we are building this agentic OS, we are inherently building this aggregated platform layer, so bringing everything, all the systems into one place. And finally, the operational memory. Again, the more Octane runs in the stores, we have a feedback loop that kind of learns over time the store-specific operations, the inherent, like their specific rules, taxonomy, and other things. So that becomes our data moat, basically. And excuse me. I talked about the roadmap. Looking ahead, we have one big milestone that is coming up in August. We are currently developing the product. We have few workflows. We are currently developing the rest of the workflows to package into the full product. So August is when we are targeting the public launch, and also the store rollout of the 45 stores happens in August. So August will be the first revenue that will be coming into the store. So we are doing invested pilots as of now. And the single biggest success metric for us is the number of stores that we onboard. That directly translates into the financials. So we have a target of reaching 100 stores by the end of the year and 1,000 stores by the end of next year. So we feel like this is like super realistic and actually conservative because internally we have twice that of the targets here. Talking about financials, I have a detailed financials in the appendix, but what does 1,000 stores mean? So on an average, the average contract value from each store would be around $6,000. So 1,000 stores would be like 6 million ARR for us. And that should put us into a Series A targeted in 2028. And I believe like we have the perfect team to take this to the market and become successful. So Enrique and I, we've been working together for the last 12 years on various things. We had a previous venture that we exited in 2022. And then I went to McKinsey for 3 years. When I left the last startup, I made a promise to Enrique that I'll come back in 3 years. So I'm here now. We started together again 4 months ago, and then we are kicking this off. We also have a great members on our team, like Anika is a GTM specialist. She worked at YC Startups. She's an expert in selling AI to non-technical folks. She sells AI to car dealers today. So she's joining the team. And we also have a software development team. And a small note about the advisors. These are active advisors, like they spend 1 day per week with us in the room. And they have experience of like 30, 40 years running the stores, the convenience stores themselves. We raised $2 million for the seed round, but we are also doing an extension of $500,000, mostly to get strategic investors who can also provide some commercial leverage for us, like opening the networks for us, making introductions, and also giving advisory on strategies, GTM, etc. Another ask that I don't have here is hiring. We are actively hiring for our team, and we are struggling to find the right people. We are also being super selective. But if anyone is interested to join the board, would love to have them. So that's Octane for us. I think we have a real opportunity that we are chasing here. We have good product market fit. We have good traction. We also have the funding and resources to take this forward. So we are super excited about this.
Thank you.
Two questions. So the $2 million, how many investors were they in this?
2 investors.
One.
Two.
Two.
Two
okay.
investors.
And are any of those strategic? And are you at liberty to say who is it?
They're actually like our customers, like I mentioned. So they are the first customers where we deployed our pilots. So they are the operators. They own stores. So they are high net worth individuals. They invested as an equity partners.
Okay. And then tell me a little bit about your tech stack. I mean, are you using open source? Are you using, so what is your tech stack when it comes to AI?
We are kind of model agnostic. I'll actually let Enrique answer that.
Yeah. Unless you want to go into the details, but yeah, we're using open source models if we can run them locally or on a deploying private endpoints in the cloud. We do rely on third-party large language model providers like OpenAI, Gemini, or Azure.
And you find that those models are good enough for you as opposed to having to do fine-tuning and
we are
and
going
training?
away from fine-tuning because I think in the past several other AI startups started to focus too much on gathering that data and trying to fine-tune a model that works better than the next sort of model. And then by the time they achieved this, there was a new sort of model that just off the bench was way better for whatever use case they had. So what we're building around the model will be the auditability, getting the data, getting to understand what our customers really need, those edge cases where the agents fail and have them fix themselves over time, instead of finding and fine-tuning models for us.
Last thing, I would look at the NVIDIA Inception program.
We are actually part of it.
Okay.
We actually got accepted last week to the Inception program. That's amazing.
You'll find a lot of good tools like RAG.
Yeah.
And even the the Llama Nematron 3.0 is a much better LLM than than you're using at Open.
Yeah. On that model's point, I mean, without getting into the details, so our architecture is set up in such a way that whatever workflow that we develop agents for, so we use the open source models, but we actually host ourselves. So there's like very minimal cost, and 80% of the tasks are done by the open source models, and only if they fail, we use the higher end models, like where we use GPT and GPT-5, which we have to pay more. So that's how we are kind of optimizing our costs as well.
Good, thank you.
Thank you.
One of the products you mentioned in the higher category of the...
sorry.
One of the functionalities was theft prevention, if I'm not mistaken. How are you detecting that?
So we are in the product development stage still. So as of now, I would say like the tier 1 and tier 2 is where we have like fully developed workflows. So tier 3 is still in works. So theft monitoring is actually one of the complex ones that we reserved it for later. Also for the reasons because like right now like text and image modality is very well solved, but maybe the models will get better for video in future. So we're going to wait like for at least 3 months before we tackle that.
Okay, great. And from those, in the core operations, what is most used now? What's the most valuable aspect of your tool for them?
So the invoice processing and price optimization, they actually go hand in hand. So that's where a lot of margin leakage comes from because prices are not updated in time. So they sell at a lower price compared to what vendors cost them. So by having them automated and almost near real-time updates. So that's where the biggest value is coming from right now.
Thank you. One last question on my end. How does this dashboard look for the users?
It's not going to be a dashboard. I mean, there will be an interface. So we are trying to get away from dashboards where we just provide some insights. You want to talk about the interface?
Yeah, we want to go away from any kind of human-facing dashboard, the traditional SaaS, and we want to build from scratch for other agents and other agentic solutions. So they could tackle and they could access the relevant context that is up to date to improve our harness for each one of our work lanes or each one of our agentic solutions, basically. So there is going to be an observability, especially at the beginning, so that the customer gains trust and can see exactly what the edge cases are, how the agents kind of operated, and where they failed, where they didn't. But eventually, our vision is to have the operating system for agents made by agents.
Yeah, it will be more like a workspace rather than a dashboard that they can view. So they can talk to the agent and then ask about what happened in different workflows, different domains. So that will be the vision. I mean, that's the interface that we have right now. And it also has one interface, kind of a dashboard, which is basically for human review. So out of all the agentic actions, so we are targeting less than 5% human review. Human is in the loop for everything that the agent does. And then we flag whenever there is a doubt or whenever the agent was not able to process, we flag it for humans. So as of now, the invoice processing, we process hundreds of invoices. As of now, less than 5% are for human review. But we have a dashboard that just pops up. This is the invoice, go to this product item. I'm not clear about this particular item, whether I should take an action or not. So that will be a clear actions that will be listed for the human to review and then approve there.
I see. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you. I wish I had an interface here, but yeah.
You guys have a slide on your margins?
Margin, think.
Margins.
It's not very clear here, but right now we are at around 70% margin. That is not including people cost. This is pure technology cost. So our goal is over time, in addition to ARR, one of the other key metrics for us is to improve the margins. We are targeting 85% margins.
And then the onboarding, does that require a human to help onboard onto the location? It does?
Right
it's
now,
not something you could just download and install on whatever?
Right now it does, but we're working on getting it as easy as possible so that all the contextual information is available for agent help human onboarding process.
Yeah, one of the software engineers on team is fully focused on building these integrations. So we are building one at a time, for different POS vendors, for different back office software, because we want to use as much as they can the existing systems so that it becomes plug and play. So once we have integrations completed for 80% of that way it will be self-onboarding. But as of now, in this stage, we are working with the customers.
Now, 30% margins is pretty low for an AI SaaS type of application. I would say SaaS tends to be 60 to 70. Maybe AI is more 50 to 60. What's causing that? Is it a pricing issue, or where are you spending the money in terms of cost of goods sold?
We're actually at 70%. I don't know if I misspoke.
Oh, you said 70%.
Yeah,
okay.
sorry.
My bad.
Yeah, we're at 70. The target is to go to 85.
Okay. Thank you.
Do you guys consider yourself a stack integration with all of the existing tools that are out there, or do you kind of look at yourself as sort of a layered AI approach to insights on top?
So great question. So as of now, the positioning is that this is an operating layer that layers on top of the existing stack. So there is POS. I think I have a slide on that. Yeah, the first bucket is basically the existing stack layers. So this will be an add-on, a quick bolt-on to the existing stack. But we also have on our roadmap, maybe next year, to actually go into the POS space as well, but that's not the priority.
Okay. And then when you think about, you've got a SMB focus, 105,000 store locations. The majority of these folks, it sounds like from your perspective, are still dealing in paper.
Yes.
Invoice processing, OCR, doing a whole bunch of things. So you're doing all that. You're competing against some big guys there. Some of those are horizontal platforms. You're a vertical platform, which I love. But how do you manage your product roadmap to make sure you're hitting the points that you need to hit that a Bill.com and the other guys that are out there can't hit?
Yeah, I think, I think from the IP perspective, we're actually working on a provisional patent application to get our concept called, which we call the memory pod. It's basically a memory layer that powers different agentic solutions on our work, across our work planes, so that they can pull the most relevant context and the most up-to-date context to get our harness to the level that it needs. So this domain specificity is our mode, and tracking this over time works better. Also, once we start to replace the system of records in place, having a hybrid solution with at-the-edge inference combined with the cloud intelligence offering will make our customers way happier and more accurate, and also lower our cost.
Time.
Thank you.
All right, need to go ahead and have our non-finalist competitors go ahead and assemble in the hallway to out towards registration. Finals judges, it's time for you guys to go ahead and go into the private room to deliberate. I'm also going to say something because several of you are our prize sponsors. Please text those into Cody as soon as possible. And it doesn't, you just get it to them before you guys wrap up in the deliberation room. You're going to follow Laura Lee back in the corner here. She's waving her hand. You're going to go through the glass doors and go into one of the judging rooms or box suites. The rest of you stay in your seats. As soon as the commotion dies down, we're going to get started with elevator pitch. All right, folks, everybody's still in this room. This is your opportunity to participate in selecting some winners of thousands of dollars in prizes, actually. This will get split up in the top 5 elevator pitch presenters. This is the 13 companies that did not make the finals, just so you understand. We're going to go through a process now. I'm going to make sure you guys understand how it works. We're going to do a little test vote, and then we're going to get started. So pull out your phones, get ready to scan a QR code here in a sec. We're going to ask no competitors actually participate in this. Finals competitors is fine if you are, because you guys are not, but no competitors or their employees. But if you want to share online, it's fine. Others can participate. Each company is going to get 1 minute. So the 13 companies get 1 minute. We're going to start out kind of slow and then speed up as we get going. I'm going to time them at 1 minute. They're going to have a clock that they can see up here and on the main screen. So we're going to cut them off at a minute. They've been practicing, and hopefully most of them will stay under that 1 minute. Virtual registrants, those of you watching online, y'all are welcome to vote too. We'll share the link if you can't scan the QR code. This is the voting scale. It's just 1 to 5 stars, keeping it super simple. You'll go through the 13 companies and you can rank each one. I said rank is the wrong word. You can rate each one 1 to 5 stars using your own criteria. I would remind you, this is not just a charisma thing. This is actually try to think like an investor. Would you want, if you're riding an elevator with this random person, would you want to follow up and talk more about engaging in a possible investment? All right. Did they set the hooks for you? This is the QR code. You guys can go ahead and scan. We'll keep displaying it on the following slides so you can make sure you get to the right page. Voting is going to stay open until about 5:20 p.m. So you will have some time to go back and revise your votes. And I would urge you to, because you'll start to learn a little more after the first few, and it might help you rate those first few a little bit differently after you've heard the subsequent ones. You can go back and change those votes. All right? So the Slido QR code will continue to be up on the screen throughout. And now we're going to do a quick practice vote. Daniel, I can't see you around the corner there. Will you wave at me and tell me if you're ready? I'm going to step down. Nope. All right, I just got a thumbs up from him. All right, so you should see the first question. Can everybody see the first question, or they're getting there? Is anybody having any problems? All right, I'm not seeing any. Must be working well. That first question is, how is the TNVC staff or the TNVC team doing? You can also put comments in. You can say something amazing about this team, of course, but as you go through the actual elevator pitch ratings, I'd encourage you to put a comment or two in if you have some feedback for the team. We're going to anonymize it and share it with them, and they would really appreciate hearing that feedback. Maybe there's something they should or shouldn't have done, tried to include. If they went long, tell them what to cut out. Anybody have any trouble submitting? You do need to scroll down and click send on this first one. It'll let you come back and rate again. That's last year's team, by the way. A lot of same faces. Anyone having any trouble? Everybody click send. See that down at the bottom? Daniel, you seeing them come in? How many stars did we get, Daniel? It shouldn't be hard. It should all be 5s. 4 and some change? All right, we'll run with that. Okay, so if everybody's got it, no last minute questions on how this process is going to work. Like I said, we're going to start a little bit slow and then speed up. Really by the 3rd or 4th team, I expect this to be a pretty quick handoff. Teams, I'm going to have you come up. I'll announce your team name as it pops up on the slide. I'm not going to hand you a click or anything. You're just going to get up on stage, do your 1 minute, step back off the same way, please, and hand me your mic. Or if the next person is up here, you can hand it straight to them. So TJ's telling me hand it straight to them, then I won't stumble. So go ahead and hand the mic to the next person. Oh. Questions? Everybody good? All right. Now we're going to watch the 13 companies give their 1 minute pitches. Remember, think like an investor. They're alphabetized, so this is no particular order. First up is going to be Arrow.
But for carry-ons that people bring with them on the plane, they actually have no idea. This is why you get gate agents taking judgment calls under pressure. And when they get them wrong, you have people fighting in the aisles for lack of overhead bin space and flights being delayed. I've taken over 400 flights in the last 4 years and seen this problem countless times. As an aerospace engineer and licensed pilot, I knew I could solve it. And so I built a team, and our solution are 3D cameras in boarding gates that autonomously track, count, and size every single bag that comes on board. We've already installed in Grand Rapids International Airport with Southwest Airlines. We have upcoming installations with Pittsburgh and Heathrow next month. We're solving a problem that happens on every single flight. Now it's your turn to help us take flight as well. Thank you.
Next up, Brimstall Therapeutics.
Every 40 seconds, someone in the United States has a heart attack. Doctors are highly efficient at going in and reopening those clogged arteries. However, surviving a heart attack doesn't necessarily guarantee a healthy, long life in the end. So we have developed a therapy called DMX-5804 that helps protect the heart during heart attack and the recovery process. In preclinical studies, we've demonstrated a greater than 50% reduction in infarct size, which is the area of dead and scarred tissue left on the heart. That scarred tissue is the strongest predictor of whether or not a patient will end up with heart failure or end up dead. With great intellectual property, a clear clinical development plan, and a first-in-class solution to a high unmet need, we believe DMX-5804 can save millions.
Next up, Dystrophics.
Children born with skeletal muscle dystrophy will learn to run and jump, and then, as early as 13, lose mobility, be confined to a wheelchair, and in the late 20s, lose full body mobility. Dystrophics is an innovative approach designed to improve mobility for patients that are currently in an unmet need of mobility. The current therapeutic approaches have significant side effects and limited efficacy. Dystrophics is safe, non-toxic, and available for a wide range of patients. Our technology increases muscle strength and size and has gained attention by Eli Lilly in the past week. We have met significant FDA milestones like rare pediatric drug designation, making us eligible upon FDA approval for a $350 million valued voucher. We also have a fast pathway to market, so please join us in revolutionizing muscle disease.
Next up, Deep Anchor Solutions.
Hello, I'm Junho Lee, founder of Deep Anchor Solutions. We build scalable anchors for floating linear bursts and infrastructure. Conventional anchors were designed for oil and gas. Some are as tall as 10-story buildings and require specialized vessels and infrastructure. Infrastructures. So, can I do one more time?
Just keep going.
Yeah.
Ad-lib.
Yeah, conventional anchors are designed for oil and gas, and then some are as tall as 10-story buildings. 10-story buildings, and it requires specialized vessels and infrastructure.
Time. Next up, Encondo AI.
Howdy. The US education system has a serious scaling issue. We spend $7 billion a year on teaching support alone, and yet, as far as I know, there is no personalized teaching for the large number of people. Yet, faculty are stressed out, students are frustrated, and we still do not have personalized education. Encondo solves this problem for us. What we do is we provide a AI-based comprehensive system for teaching and learning at scale. We take care of all the we deal with, let me put it this way. We do all the background infrastructure for the students so that they can focus on teaching and learning by interaction. We also take care of, making sure that there is one setup. Thank you.
Next up, First Then.
Hi there, I'm Amanda Schnetzer. I'm the co-founder and CEO of First Then. We are developing family-centered digital therapeutics for pediatric ADHD. Under a Phase 1 SBIR, we developed a scalable, affordable, parent-centered mobile health application that will bridge the massive access to care gap for the non-medication side of ADHD treatment. That's the behavioral and psychosocial treatments and trainings that are a recommended part of gold standard care and that 2/3 of families like mine may never get access to. We're launching a paid consumer beta this summer, and we are currently raising a pre-seed round of $450,000 with $150,000 of that committed. If you've got a heart and a passion for the mission and the market, I would love to talk to you about getting involved in helping us transform the ADHD treatment landscape. Thank you.
Next up, ION-TX.
Imagine every day you need to go to your parent to care for them, to go to the toilet with them or to shower them. That's the life of 7 million people with Alzheimer's disease and 11 million people who are family caregivers. There is a medication that targets one biological cause, but that's only active in about 30% of patients. There's severe side effects. At INTX, we are developing a medication targeting neuronal hyperexcitability or epileptiform activity of the brain, which is a toxic activity of the brain that results in neurodegeneration. And we have shown in animal models that it can reverse that toxic brain activity. And I would like you to join me in our journey to create a better future and a healthier life of people living with Alzheimer's disease. Thank you.
Next up, Lamplight Logistics.
Mine and Gene.
Okay.
Adverse drug reactions kills 128,000 Americans annually. It's a $528 billion problem. I'm Trent Marks, founder of MyNGene, a medication safety management platform. PGX IQ catches dangerous drug interactions in seconds. PGX-Me uses DNA to predict responses on over 990 drugs. In a blind stress test, PGX IQ scored a perfect 117 out of 117. Frontier AI models scored in the 80s with dangerous clinical errors. Mayo Clinic just accepted our research for a lightning talk at their AI Health Summit on June 4th. We're ready to scale.
Next up, Lamplight Logistics.
Hi everyone, I'm Kurt Narins, CEO and co-founder of Lamplight Logistics. We are an asset tracking platform. You can think of this kind of like air tags for enterprise, basically. There are billions and billions of dollars lost across every industry on the planet in things not being where they're supposed to be, being in the wrong place at the wrong time, or outright lost. We're solving that with a variety of different wireless technologies. Our team has pioneered these tracking technologies over the last 20 years or so working together. There will be billions and trillions of things tracked in the coming decades, and we want to be a big part of that journey, so join us.
Next up, Numaya.
Fighter jets must be washed to prevent corrosion, but before the wash, crews are required to hand cut tape and apply it to several dozen areas to protect millions of dollars worth of electronics. And if they miss a piece, it can cause a crash, like with an F-22, where a piece of tape over a port tricked the navigation system. The pilot ejected safely, but it was a $200 million loss. Our simple solution for hand-cut tape, a puzzle board of pre-cut covers that fit perfectly over the electronics. As I wash, I can remove the red tape, apply it after the wash. Before the flight, I can go back to my puzzle board and ensure that every piece was replaced, giving 100% accountability. We have proved on the flight line to save 3 hours per wash. We're doing it safer, faster, and we're improving mission-capable readiness rates to keep our advanced fighters in the air and win wars for America and our allies. Thank you.
Next up, Spry Bio.
32 million Americans suffer from a degenerative joint condition called osteoarthritis. It's a $65 billion problem with no good solutions. Some patients benefit from having their own platelets removed by a doctor and put into their joints. Problem is the inconsistent results because both the procedures and the patient's contents vary widely. Spry Bio is developing the first FDA-approved standardized platelet therapy for osteoarthritis. We've finalized and validated our manufacturing. We have filed for global patent protection. And we've confirmed our regulatory pathway with the FDA. We're raising $5 million to complete our preclinical studies and begin human testing within 24 months. We'd love your support and happy to talk further.
Next up, Stream Settle.
Howdy, I'm Joe Jones. I'm a former judge advocate in the Marine Corps. I'm a board certified trial attorney, and I'm the CEO and founder of Stream Settle. Let's look at a typical lawsuit. You've got a plaintiff lawyer on one side that's demanding a lot more than they need to settle the case. On the other side, you have a defense attorney that's offering much less than they'd be willing to pay to settle the case. And throughout the case, the attorneys ask themselves this question: can we settle this case now? And they're looking at the wrong data points. They're looking at these numbers, the exaggerated numbers, because these numbers, what they'd actually be willing to do, stay close to their chest. Over 50% of the cases on our platform have settled because the parties know they can enter their true numbers without any fear of anyone else seeing their number. It stays secret to only them. But if it overlaps, if those numbers overlap, they've got a binding settlement, the case is done. If not, nothing is revealed, no leverage is lost. Over half the cases have settled, and we just recently secured a judicial mandate down in Nueces County where the judges are requiring Stream Settle to be used in all of their civil cases. Would love to chat with you. Thanks and gig 'em.
Next up, Texas Microcentering.
Texas Microcentering. Hi everyone, my name is Aaron Liao. I'm the CTO and a co-founder of Texas Microcentering. Every single device that you use, whether it's your phone, your laptop, the car you drive, or the chips inside the AI data centers that run your LLMs, all use chips. And the bottleneck right now in this industry is not the chips themselves, it's actually the layer that connects them. And we call that the interconnect layer. At Texas Microcentering, we've built a patented method to reduce the lead times of these chips from over 3 months to under a week. And additionally to that, we have developed a way to print these structures in true 3D, which can unlock unprecedented designs, unlocking efficiency in all sorts of devices that use, any device that uses chips. We're backed by $3.3 million in non-dilutive funding from DARPA and National Science Foundation. And we're planning to open up a seed round in Q4 of this year. And we'd love to. Thank you.
All right, folks, now it's time. Go ahead and input the rest of your scores. You do have about 15 more minutes to go back and change things. But you do, when you have finalized your scores, make sure you scroll down all the way to the bottom and click send. Our staff are going to review the poll and we'll figure out who the top 5 are. So any questions, any trouble before we move on? All right. Okay, now we're going to be moving back once you've submitted, we're going to move back to the other side where we're going to do our awards ceremony and have a reception. We're waiting on the judges to do their finals deliberation, and then we'll get started.